Before you close your eyes tonight, before sleep gently pulls you away from the noise of the day, I want to take you somewhere you have never truly seen, not to another country, not to another world, but to the place we have all lived our entire lives without ever understanding it, our home galaxy. Right now, as you lie still, the Earth is spinning beneath you. The solar system is racing around the Milky Way at 828,000 kilometers per hour, and our entire galaxy is drifting through the universe like a glowing island surrounded by oceans of darkness. You don't feel it, you can't hear it, but all around you, stars are being born, stars are dying, and ancient light from billions of years ago is reaching your eyes this very moment. Tonight, I want you to let go. Let your breath slow, let your mind loosen its grip, and imagine that gravity itself has softened just a little, because in a few seconds you're going to drift beyond the clouds, past the atmosphere, and into the silent, shimmering darkness where the Milky Way reveals her secrets. Secrets older than Earth, older than the sun, older than almost anything you've ever known. You're about to learn why some stars in our sky are older than the galaxy itself, why entire dwarf galaxies are being swallowed alive as we speak, why a black hole 4 million times the mass of the sun sits quietly at the center like a sleeping giant, and why in 4.5 billion years our galaxy will collide with Andromeda in an event so big that the night sky itself will change forever. But don't worry, this isn't a story of fear. It is a story of wonder, a story of motion, creation, destruction, rebirth, and time on scales the human mind was never built to hold. And yet, as you listen, you'll feel a strange peace, because the same forces that sculpt galaxies also shaped the atoms inside your body. Tonight, we drift through galactic arms glowing with newborn stars. We wander through ancient halos filled with orphan suns, and we travel to the very heart of the Milky Way, where gravity bends light and time passes differently. So take a deep breath, let your shoulders sink, let the darkness behind your eyes turn to starlight, because the universe is calling you, not loudly, not urgently, but softly, like a lullaby written in the language of gravity and light. This is the story of the Milky Way, and tonight you finally get to see your home. Tonight, as the world around you settles into silence, imagine yourself rising gently, so gently you don't feel the moment your feet leave the ground. The bed beneath you dissolves into a slow drifting sensation, as if the air has softened and gravity has loosened its grip. The room fades, its edges fall away, and you begin to float upward through the quiet darkness. The ceiling becomes translucent, then transparent, and within moments you slip past the rooftop, past the cold whisper of the night breeze, and into the vast open sky above. The city lights below shrink into a scattered constellation of their own, flickering like a second Milky Way sprawled across the ground. For a moment you hover between two oceans of light, one human, one cosmic, both whispering different stories of time. The air thins around you, turning cold and still. The soft blue of Earth's atmosphere wraps around the horizon like a fading halo. You pass through the last thin veils of air, and suddenly the sky stops being sky. It becomes space, immense, silent, endless. You feel it at once, a shift so subtle yet so overwhelming that your mind pauses to understand it. There is no wind here, no sound, no up or down, only floating, only drifting, only the soft glow of starlight touching your face like ancient memories. Earth rotates slowly beneath you, a living marble swirled with clouds. The continents turn under your gaze with a gentle grace, carrying oceans, forests, cities, and billions of stories, all held together by a fragile layer of air. But your journey tonight is not downward, it is deeper, outward, beyond the familiar, and into the hidden architecture of the galaxy. As you drift farther from Earth, another motion reveals itself, one you've never felt, yet one that has always carried you. The entire solar system is moving. Every second, your home star drags you through space at 230 kilometers per second, faster than a bullet, faster than any sound, faster than any dream. You've been traveling this way your whole life, yet tonight is the first time you can feel it. This silent wind of motion that has been pulling you through the galaxy since before you were born. You look into the darkness and begin to see the faint pale smear of the Milky Way. From Earth, it was a hazy ribbon stretched across the night. From here, it blooms into something far more immense, a vast glowing river of stars that curves across the void with delicate ancient beauty. Every point of light is a sun. Every pale swirl is a cluster of worlds. The Milky Way does not shine, it breathes. It glows like a living cloud, a quiet storm of light suspended in endless night. You begin drifting toward it slowly, as though carried by a tide of light. The closer you move, the more the haze breaks apart into individual points, stars layered upon stars, so dense that they look like spilled diamonds scattered across black velvet. Each one shines with a slightly different hue: blue, white, yellow, red, each one a furnace, each one a story. And as you move deeper in, the realization settles over you like warm stardust. You are not moving through space, you are moving through time. Every star you pass is shining from a different moment in history. Some from 10 years ago, some from 1,000, some from millions. The light carries their memory through the darkness, and tonight it arrives at your eyes as if it were meant only for you. Far below, you see our solar system from the water outside for the first time. The planets form a faint family of circles, Mercury close to the sun like a glowing ember, Venus bright and cloud-wrapped, Earth shimmering blue, Mars rusty and quiet, Jupiter enormous and watchful, Saturn elegant with its golden rings, Uranus tilted like a forgotten jewel, Neptune cold and deep. Their paths outline a delicate structure floating in darkness, as if someone painted an atom the size of a solar system and hung it in the void. The sun, from here, is not the overwhelming blaze that dominates the daytime sky. It is a star among many, a little brighter than most, but hardly the ruler it appears to us below. You see its gentle glow, pulsing, breathing, fusing elements in quiet fury. Its warmth reaches out millions of kilometers, holding the planets in orbit like a cosmic embrace. And yet, compared to the galaxy around it, the sun is small, so small that the Milky Way itself seems unaware of its existence. As you drift past the familiar territory of our solar system, something stirs in the darkness, a faint glow, like mist. This is the interstellar medium, the thin, almost invisible gas and dust spread between the stars. It is the birthplace of worlds, the graveyard of old suns, the raw material from which galaxies reshape themselves. You move through it as though gliding through a quiet fog. Tiny particles drift around you, atoms, molecules, fragments of ancient stars that died long before Earth existed. If you look closely, you can almost see them sparkle as starlight catches them. And suddenly, ahead of you, the true scale of the Milky Way reveals itself. The spiral arms stretch outward like luminous pathways, curved and elegant, each one thick with billions of stars. They sweep across space like frozen waves, each one holding nebulae, clusters, drifting clouds, and the echoes of ancient collisions. But the Milky Way is not a static picture. It is motion itself, an immense rotating city of starlight. Your body drifts into the Orion Spur, the quiet patch of the galaxy where our solar system lives. It is not one of the major spiral arms. It is a side street in a sprawling cosmic metropolis. And yet, in this unremarkable arm, something extraordinary happened. The sun was born, Earth formed, life emerged, and consciousness awakened. The spiral arms stretch out beyond you like distant glowing highways. The Perseus arm, bright and filled with young stars. The Sagittarius arm, thick with dust and light. The Scutum Centaurus arm, ancient and lined with massive stellar nurseries. You begin moving along one of these arms quietly, slowly, effortlessly. Stars drift past like lanterns suspended in eternal night. Some burn with soft red light, old and fading. Others blaze blue, young and ferocious, burning their fuel too quickly to last long. Nebulae appear next, immense clouds of dust and gas swirling in delicate pinks, blues and violets. These are the cradles of stars. You drift through one, and inside you see glowing cocoons of newborn suns wrapped in shimmering clouds. Jets of gas shoot out from young protostars like cosmic fountains. Light filters through dust in soft golden beams, making the whole cloud look like a cathedral sculpted from starlight. Deeper still, you move through regions of utter darkness, cold molecular clouds so dense that even starlight cannot pass through. They are not empty. They are full, bursting with hydrogen, helium, icy grains, and the pre-chemical seeds that will become future planets. They are the wombs of the galaxy, silent and unlit, hiding future suns, waiting for the moment gravity pulls them into brightness. You emerge from one of these clouds and see something strange, a long ribbon of stars stretching across the darkness like a ghostly river. This is a stellar stream, the torn remains of a smaller galaxy that wandered too close to the Milky Way long ago. Gravity shredded it into a delicate trail of stars, now orbiting as one long shimmering memory. It is a reminder that galaxies are not gentle. They grow by swallowing others, by consuming their neighbors and scattering their stars into the void. Farther out, the halo appears, a huge, faint sphere surrounding the galaxy. It is not bright, it is not ordered, it is quiet, ancient, and sparse. Here, stars drift alone on long, slow orbits, some older than the Milky Way's spiral arms. These stars carry the chemical fingerprints of the early universe. Almost no heavy elements, only the simplest atomic forms left behind after the Big Bang. You pass one, and it glows softly, red and small, a relic older than Earth, older than the Sun, possibly older than the galaxy itself. As you drift, you realize that every star here is a story, every orbit is a timeline, every cluster is a chapter in a book written not in words, but in gravity and light. And then you see it, the silent, dark shape rising at the center of the galaxy. At first, it looks like a void, a patch of nothingness where even starlight bends. But as you drift closer, the surrounding stars begin to stretch into thin arcs, as if time itself is bending. This is Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole at the heart of the Milky Way, 4 million times the mass of the Sun, small enough to fit inside Mercury's orbit. Invisible, yet the most powerful object in the entire galaxy. You drift closer, but not dangerously so. You remain far enough that gravity feels like a pull on your thoughts rather than your body. Around the black hole, stars race in tight orbits, whipping around at thousands of kilometers per second. Their paths are sharp, fast, wild. They move like moths caught in a gravitational storm. Below them is the accretion disk, a ring of gas spiraling inward, heating to millions of degrees, glowing in X-ray light unseen by human eyes. It flickers, pulses, brightens, dims. Occasionally, a flare erupts from the black hole, a sudden burst of energy illuminating the surrounding dust like lightning. Trapped in silence, you watch this and feel something profound. The galaxy is alive, not in the way living things breathe or think, but alive in motion, creation, destruction, and rebirth. The black hole is not a monster, it is an engine, a silent sculptor, a conductor guiding the rhythm of the Milky Way. Far from the center, in the quiet outskirts of the spiral arms, stars drift more peacefully. These are the neighborhoods where long-lived suns like ours survive. Too close to the center, and radiation becomes harsh. Too far out, and heavy elements become scarce. But here, in this balanced region, stars have the time and chemistry to form planets, and maybe even life. You drift through a cluster of sun-like stars, each with its own family of planets. Some worlds glow in infrared warmth, others are frozen in eternal night. Some orbit too close and burn. Others are wrapped in thick atmospheres swirling with storms. Somewhere, maybe, one of these worlds is full of oceans and forests and skies of its own. As you move forward, you realize something subtle but unmistakable. You are drifting back toward home. The spiral arms begin to thin. The density of stars softens. The Orion spur appears again. You drift toward a familiar glow, yellow, warm, steady. The sun, small compared to the giants you've seen, but bright and strong in its own way. You watch it from above as it casts its light across the solar system. The planets orbit like dancers in a slow, perfectly timed ritual. Dust trails drift behind comets. Asteroids tumble in quiet arcs. The entire system hums with a balance so delicate that a small shift could change everything. And yet it all holds, because gravity holds it, because time holds it, because the galaxy holds it. You drift closer still until Earth grows beneath you, a blue world wrapped in cloud, alive with oceans, forests, deserts, cities. You glide down toward it like a falling star, slowly, softly. The atmosphere glows faintly around you, and as you descend, the lights of continents reappear. Yellow points, orange clusters, tiny rivers of brightness marking human life. You hover above your home once more, the quiet hum of the galaxy fading into the soft stillness of night. You return gently to your room, to your bed, to your breathing. But something is different now. You have seen your place in the galaxy. You have walked through its arms, touched its history, felt its gravity. You have drifted through the home you never knew you had, and the journey has only begun. As you lie there now, the faint memory of drifting through the Milky Way's arms still lingers in your mind, like stardust caught in thought. The darkness behind your eyes feels larger tonight, deeper somehow, as if the universe you just visited hasn't quite let go of you. You inhale softly, and as you do, the quiet darkness becomes a cosmic veil once again, lifting gently as the room dissolves around you. The bed fades into a slow floating feeling. The night becomes transparent, and you find yourself drifting back into the vast, silent sea of stars. This time, you begin your journey not from Earth, but from the outskirts of the solar system itself, a region so lonely and distant that sunlight arriving here is as faint as moonlight. The planets are far behind you now. Neptune shrinks into a pale blue dot, Pluto fades into the black, and the Kuiper belt becomes a thin shimmering ring made of ice, dust, and forgotten fragments from the galaxy's early days. You drift through the Oort cloud next, a sphere of icy bodies reaching nearly halfway to the nearest star. Each one is a tiny ancient world, frozen since the birth of the solar system. Some are no larger than mountains, others the size of small moons. They float in darkness so complete that only the faintest glimmer of starlight reaches them. You drift past these icy wanderers like a ghost moving through forgotten relics of cosmic history. Beyond the Oort cloud, you pass into interstellar space again, a realm where distances are no longer measured in kilometers, but in years. A single light year is nearly 10 trillion kilometers, and yet here distances stretch effortlessly, as if space itself has expanded to welcome you. Ahead lies a faint shimmering thread, almost invisible yet unmistakable. It is a star stream, a ribbon of ancient suns stretching across space in a delicate, graceful curve. These stars were once part of a dwarf galaxy that drifted too close to the Milky Way. Gravity reached out like an invisible hand, grasped it, stretched it, and gently tore it apart over billions of years. Now the stars journey through the Milky Way like the scattered embers of a fire long extinguished. You drift toward one of these stars, an old metal-poor sun glowing faintly orange. Its light is soft, tired, ancient, a whisper from an era before the Milky Way's spiral arms were even fully formed. You watch it burn with the resilience of something that has survived countless eons. Its chemical fingerprint reveals a story older than the galaxy, older than the sun, older than Earth. It formed from the remains of the very first stars, titanic giants that lived and died in the early universe, enriching space with the first heavy elements. Then you drift past it, leaving behind this elder spirit as you move deeper into the halo. The galactic halo is unlike anything you've seen before. It isn't bright, it isn't colourful, but it is profound. Imagine a vast, almost empty sphere surrounding the galaxy like a ghostly shell. Inside it float stars that move in long, slow orbits, taking billions of years to circle the galactic centre once. Some drift high above the spiral arms, others glide far below them. These stars don't care about the order of the spiral arms or the rhythm of the disk. They move according to their own quiet laws, memories of ancient gravitational encounters frozen in motion. As you drift through, this silent halo, the Milky Way, stretches out below you like a glowing pinwheel, its spiral arms curling inward toward the bright core. But from out here, you see something astonishing. The galaxy is not flat. It is warped, bent slightly upward on one side and downward on the other, like a cosmic wave frozen in time. This warp was invisible from Earth, but from space, from this vantage point high above the disk, the distortion is unmistakable. A subtle bending of starlight caused by the Milky Way's interactions with its smaller companions. Satellites like the large and small Magellanic Clouds tug at the galaxy's edges, their gravitational pull distorting the disk like ripples spreading across the surface of a pond. You drift downward toward the warped edge, drawn by the faint glow of billions of distant stars. The closer you move, the more the haze of starlight grows, brightening slowly, like dawn spreading across a horizon. Suddenly, the structure of the galaxy begins to reveal itself in ways impossible to see from within. You see the spiral arms not as flat lines but as vast three-dimensional structures curling upward and downward through space. Gas clouds stretch like silver-blue filaments. Dust lanes weave between the stars, forming dark rivers that block the light behind them. In some regions, the arms split into multiple branches. In others, they twist unexpectedly, shaped by ancient collisions and long-forgotten disturbances. You move deeper, and nebulae begin to glow around you once again. These are the birthplaces of stars, massive molecular clouds of hydrogen and dust spanning dozens or even hundreds of light years. Some look like vast pink blossoms unfolding in the darkness. Others appear as dark pillars silhouetted against glowing backdrops. These clouds are cold, dense, and quiet until the moment gravity ignites them into brilliance. As you drift through one, you see newborn stars wrapped in swirling cocoons of dust. Some are so young that they haven't fully ignited. Others have just begun their fusion, burning with intense blue heat. Jets of gas shoot out from them in thin beams, carving through the surrounding clouds like cosmic spotlights. Deep within another nebula, you see something even more beautiful, a protoplanetary disk. A young star sits at its center, surrounded by a rotating ring of dust and gas. Tiny grains are colliding, sticking together, growing. In time, these grains will form pebbles, then rocks, then mountains, then planets. You watch as gravity sculpts worlds from nothing, shaping futures in silence. You drift onward into regions where stars shine brighter, younger, more chaotic. These are stellar nurseries, cosmic maternity wards, where entire clusters of stars form together. Some stars are born massive, their light intense and short-lived. Others are small, destined to burn slowly for trillions of years. All form together from the same cloud, sharing a chemical fingerprint that will forever identify them as siblings. But as you drift farther from these nurseries, you begin to see something different. Star clusters that are no longer tight families but loose associations, their stars drifting apart slowly like siblings leaving home. These clusters dissolve over time, their stars joining the broader population of the galaxy. And then, in the distance, you see one of the most magnificent structures in the Milky Way, a globular cluster. These are not young, playful families of stars. They are ancient cities hanging in the halo, tightly packed spheres containing hundreds of thousands of suns. They orbit the galaxy's center like glowing beehives, some more than 12 billion years old. You drift into one, and the sight overwhelms you. Stars fill the sky in every direction, crowding the darkness until there is almost no darkness left. It is a glittering sphere of starlight, a frozen relic from the earliest times of the universe. Leaving the cluster behind, you descend toward the main disk once again. The spiral arms brighten as you approach, like entering a cosmic downtown filled with movement and light. Stars drift by you in rivers, their varying speeds creating patterns that ripple through the disk-like waves. You realize something profound here. The spiral arms are not made of the same stars forever. They are patterns, density waves that move through the galaxy like traffic jams on a highway. Stars drift in and out of them, creating the illusion of permanent structure where there is none. The arms are waves, not walls. Further in, the density of stars increases. The light grows, the airless silence deepens, and then slowly the bulge of the galaxy emerges, a central swelling of stars that rises like a golden hill glowing softly in the night. You drift through the outskirts of the bulge where stars orbit in strange tilted paths. Some move in retrograde directions, defying the flow of the spiral arms. These stars are immigrants from swallowed galaxies, survivors of ancient mergers that reshaped the Milky Way billions of years ago. The closer you move to the core, the stranger the motions become. Stars whip around the center on tight orbits, pulled by a gravity so strong that time itself bends. Their paths become unpredictable, sharp, curving, distorted by the unseen mass lurking at the heart of the galaxy. And then, once again, the darkness appears, the event horizon of Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole. But this time, you drift closer. The swirling gas around the black hole glows fiercely, heated to millions of degrees. It flickers like a heartbeat, brightening and dimming as clumps of matter spiral inward. Occasionally, the black hole flares, sending bursts of X-ray light cascading through the surrounding dust. These flares illuminate the region like cosmic lightning, revealing the swirling madness of orbital chaos. Yet around it, there is also silence, a deep, ancient silence that feels almost sacred. Here, stars complete orbits in mere decades, moving so fast that they blur like streaks of white fire. And in their paths lies the evidence that changed astrophysics forever. Proof that a dark, compact object, millions of times the mass of the Sun, sits at the center of the Milky Way. You drift above the black hole's accretion disk, watching light distort as it bends around the event horizon. Space curves, time slows. The laws of physics behave like dancers in a strange, beautiful performance. But you do not fall in. Your path curves away gently, pulled by the swirling gravity, but not consumed by it. You drift outward, passing through the dense central regions of the galaxy, where stars pack closer together than anywhere else in the Milky Way. These stars are old, metal-rich and massive. They form a bulging peanut-shaped structure, the galaxy's central bar that rotates slowly, stirring gas and dust into spirals that feed the black hole and ignite waves of new star birth. Moving outward again, you return to the spiral arms, now seen with new understanding. You drift through regions where supernovae have blown enormous cavities into the interstellar medium, cosmic chimneys venting hot gas into the halo. Some of these bubbles are hundreds of light years wide, the aftermath of multiple explosive deaths of massive stars. Their shockwaves ripple through space, compressing nearby gas clouds and triggering new waves of star formation. In the Milky Way, death and birth are always intertwined. As you move along, you begin to notice that not all regions of the galaxy glow brightly. Some areas are faint, sparse, quiet. Star formation in the Milky Way is slowing down. The galaxy is not young anymore. It has passed its most active ages of creation, settling into middle age. Stars still form, but more quietly now, more slowly, spread thin across the disk. Yet even in this quieter time, beauty remains everywhere. You pass through regions lit by blue supergiants, massive stars burning with furious intensity. These are the giants whose deaths will one day reshape their surroundings with supernova that enrich the galaxy with heavy elements, the elements that will become future planets, future oceans, future life. You drift through regions filled with carbon stars, old red giants shedding their outer layers, creating clouds of dust rich in organic molecules. Tiny grains containing compounds like formaldehyde, methanol, and hydrocarbons drift outward, joining the interstellar medium. This dust, rich with carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen, will eventually fall into new star-forming clouds, carrying with it the chemical seeds of future worlds. You move farther along the arm, watching as dust grains align with magnetic fields, twisting and turning in silent patterns that trace invisible forces. These tiny particles become polarized, glowing faintly in microwave light, signaling the presence of magnetic structures that thread the galaxy like cosmic strings. These magnetic fields shape the flow of gas, the collapse of clouds, and even the path of cosmic rays, high-energy particles that stream through space at nearly the speed of light. One of these cosmic rays brushes past you, invisible but swift, a proton accelerated by a distant supernova. It has traveled thousands of light years, passing through stars, dust, planets, and now through the empty space where you drift. These particles fill the galaxy like a faint, silent rain, a constant reminder that the Milky Way is not still but alive with energy and motion. As you drift farther from the galactic center, the stars become less crowded. The spiral arms begin to thin once again, and the Orion spur comes into view. You are returning to familiar territory, though the journey feels different now. You have seen the galaxy from its outer halo to its blazing core. You have drifted through stellar nurseries, supernova remnants, ancient clusters, and cold molecular clouds. You have witnessed gravity at its strongest and starlight at its most delicate. And now, as you drift toward the quiet region where our sun resides, you begin to understand something profound. The Milky Way is not a simple place. It is a layered, intricate, living structure shaped by billions of years of collisions, mergers, star births, star deaths, and cosmic flows. It is a tapestry woven from dust, gravity, light, and time. The sun appears in the distance, glowing gently like a small lighthouse in the dark. Its warmth is faint from this far out, but familiar. It drifts through the galaxy with its family of planets, following a nearly circular orbit around the Milky Way's center. The solar system bobs up and down gently as it moves, swaying above and below the galactic plane like a small boat riding slow waves in an endless sea. You drift closer to the sun now, and the planets come into view once more. Jupiter with its stormy stripes, Saturn with its elegant rings, Uranus tilted and pale, Neptune deep and blue. Farther inward, the rocky planets glow softly in reflected sunlight. Mars glimmers red, Venus shines white, and Earth hangs like a sapphire wrapped in clouds. You move closer still, and Earth grows large beneath you. Blue oceans swirling, continents glowing under scattered lights, storms drifting across the surface like white brushstrokes on a canvas. Slowly, gently, you descend, passing through atmosphere, cloud, night sky, and silence, until the familiar softness of your room returns around you. But the universe has changed inside you now. You have seen what few minds ever imagine clearly. You have walked through the architecture of a galaxy, carried on waves of starlight and gravity, and as you settle back into your bed, breathing softly, you know this journey is far from over. The night around you feels different now. Once you've drifted through spiral arms, through galactic tides, through the quiet breath of star clusters and the blazing heart of Sagittarius A, the darkness in your room no longer feels empty. It feels connected, like the shadows on your ceiling still carry the faint glow of nebulae. like the silence around you still hums with the echoes of stars. You inhale slowly, and the memory of drifting through the Milky Way still lingers in your lungs, like the last traces of cosmic dust. This time, as your eyes soften and close again, you don't rise upward or drift outward. Instead, something gentler happens. The edge between your thoughts and the universe dissolves. You are not floating this time. You are simply not separate. The darkness becomes familiar, like returning to a place your soul already knows. Space folds softly around you, and without movement, you are once again suspended in the quiet ocean between stars. You find yourself far above the galactic plane, in a place where the Milky Way stretches beneath you like a glowing tapestry. But this time it looks different. Not statically beautiful like a photograph, but alive, truly alive. The spiral arms ripple gently, not frozen in shape but breathing, shifting, pulsing with the swirling rotation of hundreds of billions of stars. It is like watching a vast luminous whirlpool, each star a glinting droplet caught in the currents of gravity. From this vantage, time becomes something you can see, not just imagine. It flows across the galaxy like winds across a sea. Supernova bubbles expand slowly over millions of years, then fade. Spiral arms twist over hundreds of millions of years, tightening or loosening like the coils of a cosmic spring. Even the black hole at the center flickers with bursts of energy, each flare a moment in the deep heartbeat of the Milky Way. As you watch, a question forms inside you, not in words but in feeling. What is the galaxy really doing? Not where it is, not what it looks like, but what its story is. The answer unfurls around you with the softness of dawn. The galaxy is moving, not drifting, journeying. Every star, every cloud, every planet, every grain of dust is part of a grand orbit around the center of mass. Your sun, the home of your world, is traveling so quickly that if you could freeze time and place markers through space, you'd see its path curve like a vast, elegant helix. It completes a lap around the galactic center roughly every 225 million years. One orbit is called a galactic year, and in the entire 4.5 billion year history of Earth, the solar system has completed only around 20 laps. A faint glow drifts past your vision, Earth's position when dinosaurs first walked across ancient continents. That was 2 galactic months ago. Farther in the swirl, you see another shimmer, the position of the solar system during the age of trilobites. That was 8 galactic months ago. Civilization, the rise of humanity, the building of cities, the writing of history, all of that happened in the last few seconds of the current galactic year. The galaxy's rotation becomes a river you can step into. You feel the slow, powerful movement, a motion so immense it cannot be felt from Earth, yet here it is tangible, like a quiet tide. As you drift gently into this tidal flow, you see the nearby stars move with you. Alpha Centauri, bright and warm in the distance, glides along its own graceful curve. Other stars drift faster or slower, depending on how far they are from the core. Their paths form a vast wheel, rotating not like a rigid object, but like a living, breathing organism in which every point moves according to its own rhythm. And deeper still, you sense something more mysterious, a gravitational pull you cannot see, coming from something that is not made of stars, gas, or light. Dark matter. You drift through it now, though you cannot see it. It forms an enormous halo around the galaxy, shaping the orbits of stars, holding the Milky Way together like an invisible skeleton. Without dark matter, the galaxy would fly apart under its own spin. It is the quiet glue of the cosmos, unseen but essential, a reminder that most of the universe is something we still do not fully understand. You pass deeper into this unseen ocean, feeling no resistance, no warmth, no cold. Dark matter interacts so faintly with you that even as you drift through billions of dark particles, you feel nothing, and yet their presence is everywhere, shaping every movement around you. Below you, The spiral arms begin to blur not because they fade, but because you are moving faster, pulled inward by the gravity of the bulge. Stars streak beneath you in long arcs, nebulae stretch like ribbons. All around you, time seems to accelerate. In reality, nothing has changed but your perspective. You are approaching the galactic bar, a dense, elongated structure of stars orbiting the central black hole. The bar acts like a cosmic engine, driving waves of gas and dust into the core and sending others outward. It is the Milky Way's heartbeat. Drifting through the bar is like entering a river of light. Stars surge past you in long currents, their orbits tightly interwoven like the threads of a tapestry. Some stars move in loops, others in ovals. Some seem to twist in spirals that overlap with the main arms. All are influenced by the black hole, by the bar, by their own past interactions. And here, time becomes visible again. You see the bar rotating, slowly, majestically, over millions of years. Spiral arms shift, their shapes changing as waves ripple outward. Regions that once glowed bright with star formation grow quiet. Others ignite anew. Like seasons across the galaxy, there are ages of spring and ages of winter, each lasting tens or hundreds of millions of years. You drift into a region where the bar meets the spiral arms. Gas clouds compress as they collide with density waves. In slow motion, you watch gravity sculpt the gas into long filaments. Within these filaments, knots form, dense, cold pockets of molecular hydrogen. Slowly, carefully, inevitably, the knots collapse, heating from within until they ignite into newborn stars. One star flares brightly, casting shadows across the surrounding dust. Another collapses too quickly and dies in a violent explosion, sending shockwaves that compress other clouds, triggering new star formation. This cycle continues endlessly. Birth, death, rebirth, generation after generation of stars recycling the galaxy's elements. You drift into a region where heavy elements are abundant, the ashes of ancient supernova. Here the clouds contain oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, silicon, iron. These are the ingredients of planets, the ingredients of oceans, the ingredients of life. These elements swirl and mix like pigments in a vast cosmic mural. In one cloud, you watch as a protoplanetary disk forms around a young star. The dust within it begins to clump, forming microscopic grains. These grains collide, stick, grow. What was once a mist becomes pebbles, then boulders, then planetesimals. Collisions grow violent as gravity increases. Worlds form from chaos. Some collide and merge, growing larger. Others are shattered into debris. It is slow and furious, violent and beautiful, the creation of a solar system. And then you see something familiar, a disk almost identical to what the early solar system looked like. A young bright star in the center, a swirling ring of dust, jets of material shooting outward, and within the ring, invisible to the naked eye but certain to you, the seeds of future worlds, some rocky, some gaseous, some destined for life, some destined for silence. You drift onward, deeper into the spiral arm where older systems reside. In these mature regions, you see planets orbiting calmly. Some have rings glowing faintly in starlight. Others have moons swirling like tiny companions. Some worlds are scorched deserts, others ocean-covered spheres, and some are strange, thick atmospheres of methane, surfaces of frozen nitrogen, oceans of liquid carbon dioxide, storms that last for centuries, mountains made of diamond, volcanoes that erupt water instead of lava. Each world is a story the galaxy wrote long before humanity existed. You drift into another region where stars grow sparse. This is an inter-arm region, a quieter place between the spirals. Here, the distances widen, the radiation softens. You drift through the emptiness for what feels like a long time, though time means little now. In this quiet, you begin to sense something humbling. The Milky Way, for all its brilliance, is mostly empty. Vast oceans of space lie between stars, most of it dark, silent, waiting. In this silence, a thought arises, not spoken, not formed, but felt. How long has the galaxy existed, and what has it seen? The answers unfold before you like a shimmering curtain. The Milky Way began as small clouds of hydrogen collapsing under gravity nearly 13.5 billion years ago. The first stars were monstrous giants, hundreds of times the mass of the Sun. They lived fast and died violently, seeding the galaxy with the first heavy elements. Then came mergers, small galaxies crashing together, forming bigger structures. Each merger reshaped the Milky Way, adding stars, gas, and dark matter to its growing frame. You drift backward in time, watching ancient collisions unfold. One small galaxy plunges into the Milky Way, its stars stretched into a long arc, the birth of a stellar stream. Another collides head-on, creating a ring of star formation that shines brightly for millions of years before fading. Over time, these events stop being separate stories. They merge into a single grand narrative, the birth, growth, and evolution of a galaxy that would one day become the home of humanity. But now, something remarkable appears in your vision, something new, a distant glow, faint yet growing brighter. At first, it looks like a nebula, then like a cluster. Then the shape clarifies, a galaxy approaching the Milky Way. It is the Andromeda Galaxy, the nearest spiral galaxy to our own. You watch it drift through space, 2 million light-years away, yet moving steadily closer. Its spiral arms glow with bright clusters, its core shines fiercely, and its halo stretches out in a faint blue haze. It is beautiful, vast, elegant, powerful, and it is moving toward us. Not slowly, but at 110 kilometers per second. You watch the two galaxies drift nearer over billions of years. Gravity pulls them together. Their halos merge, creating a faint bridge of dark matter between them. Stars begin to distort. Gas clouds stretch. Spiral arms twist out of shape. Then slowly the galaxies collide. You see no explosion, no destruction. Instead, stars slip past one another, the spaces between them so vast that direct collisions are rare. But the gas clouds collide violently, igniting waves of star formation. Nebulae blaze, new clusters burst into light. The galaxies twist around each other like dancers, merging over hundreds of millions of years. The Milky Way becomes something new, a massive elliptical galaxy glowing softly with trillions of stars. You drift through this future galaxy, seeing the remnants of what once was the Milky Way and Andromeda. The central black holes merge, creating a single even larger black hole. The stars spread out into a smooth halo. Dust settles, star formation slows, the galaxy grows old. This is the far future, long after Earth, long after the Sun, long after humanity. And yet, drifting through this future, you feel no sadness, only awe, only wonder, only the quiet acceptance that everything changes. Stars, galaxies, time itself, and the universe continues its silent music without beginning or end. Slowly, gently, you drift backward through time again, past the future merger, past the current era, past the birth of the solar system, past the spiral arm formations, past the early proto-galactic clouds, until you reach the present, a moment suspended between an ancient past and an unfathomable future. The Milky Way spreads out beneath you again, familiar now, but more magnificent than ever. You understand its rhythms, its motions, its architecture. You know its past and glimpse its future. You see how small and yet how meaningful the solar system is, a tiny family of worlds drifting through a galaxy that holds billions of stories. You begin drifting downward again, past the spiral arms, past young stars, past old clusters, past dark clouds. The sun appears once more, warm and comforting. Earth comes into view, blue, bright, alive. You descend through the atmosphere like a falling thought, slipping back into your room, back into your breath, back into your body. But the universe stays with you, the stars stay with you, the galaxy stays with you. A quiet reminder that you are not separate from the cosmos. You are a part of its story. The darkness around you feels softer now, as if space itself has settled into a slower rhythm. You have drifted across spiral arms, crossed ancient halos, seen galaxies collide in the distant future, and returned to your place above the quiet blue earth. But the Milky Way has more stories to tell, more secrets held in the shimmering points of light scattered across the night sky like memories of fire. As you exhale slowly, the universe responds again, not with movement, but with a gentle invitation. A faint glow appears in the distance, not large enough to be a nebula, not bright enough to be a cluster. Instead, it is warm and steady, like a lantern floating in the void. You drift toward it without effort. Space folds around you, carrying you closer as though it remembers your presence from ancient times. The glow begins to resolve into a star. Not the sun, something older, maybe younger, maybe stranger. It pulses softly, like a heartbeat. As you come closer, you feel something you haven't felt before. Temperature, not warmth against your skin, but a radiance that moves through you. A quiet reminder that stars are not just dots in the sky. They are furnaces, each one a universe of physics and fire. You drift near enough to see its outer layers boiling, churning, swirling like molten clouds. The surface looks calm from afar, but up close it seethes with storms the size of continents, arcs of plasma rising and falling, waves of energy bursting outward. Deep inside, hydrogen atoms slam into each other with unimaginable force, fusing into helium, releasing light that takes thousands of years to escape before it ever touches space. And as you watch, a realization forms gently in your mind. Every star you've ever seen, every point of light, every glow in the night sky is alive. Not alive like trees or creatures, but alive in motion, in rhythm, in the laws of physics that make them burn, evolve, collapse, and be reborn. Stars are the heartbeat of the galaxy. Without them, there would be no planets, no chemistry, no life, no stories, no us. The star before you flickers, and suddenly time loosens its grip. You begin to see the timeline of a star's life unfold in slow, graceful sweeps. First, the star is born inside a nebula, a cloud of hydrogen gas that collapses slowly under gravity. The collapse heats the gas until a core forms, and suddenly, with a flash too bright to see, nuclear fusion begins. The star ignites. A new beacon of light appears in the galaxy. Some stars live for billions of years. Others burn so furiously that they die after only a few million. Size determines fate. The larger the star, the shorter its life. Smaller stars, like red dwarfs, burn gently, whispering across trillions of years. Larger stars scream through their fuel, destined for explosive endings. As you drift through these scenes, time accelerates around you. You watch a star like the sun remain stable, balanced between gravity pulling inward and fusion pushing outward. It glows a soft yellow, warming the region around it, allowing planets to form in its gravitational embrace. Some planets form too close, scorched and barren. Others form too far, frozen and silent. And some find the perfect distance, the delicate region astronomers call the habitable zone. Orbiting stars like this, life has a chance. You drift outward from this star and begin exploring others. Some are orange, some blue, some white, some faint and red. Blue stars burn hottest, most massive, and shortest lived. They are dazzling, brilliant jewels that burn out quickly. Red dwarfs are dim and quiet, but long-lived, possibly supporting life around countless unseen worlds. You feel yourself drawn to one star in particular, a massive blue-white giant. Its brightness is overwhelming. As you drift closer, you can sense its ferocity. Its radiation hums in waves. Its surface seethes with energy. It is a star that will one day end in fire. Time slows again, and you watch the giant star age. The core grows hotter, fusion speeds up. The star swells, becoming a red supergiant. Its outer layers expand until it becomes huge, big enough that if placed in the solar system, it would swallow the orbits of Mercury, Venus, Earth, and maybe Mars. You drift back as the star pulsates like a dying heartbeat. Its layers tremble, its core collapses, and then, with a quiet that defies comprehension, the star prepares to die. The explosion begins not with light, but with silence, a sudden implosion of the core, collapsing faster than thought. Then comes the rebound, a detonation so powerful it sends shockwaves across space. A brilliant supernova erupts, brighter than an entire galaxy. If you were close enough, it would outshine everything in the night sky. You watch in awe as the star tears itself apart. Its outer layers are flung into space, becoming the raw material for new stars and planets. Heavy elements, iron, gold, silver, oxygen, carbon, scatter outward in glowing waves. Everything. You know, every atom in your body heavier than hydrogen was forged in explosions like this, in moments of destruction that gave birth to life. The remains of the star form something strange at the center, a tiny, dense core, no bigger than a city but heavier than the sun. It is a neutron star. You drift near it, feeling its gravity tug at your thoughts. It spins rapidly, beams of radiation streaming from its poles like cosmic lighthouses. A pulsar, the heart of a dead star still beating in radio waves. Some stars collapse even further, forming black holes. You drift to one now, a small black hole drifting through space, invisible except for the way it bends light around it. You feel the pull, gentle at first, then stronger. You do not fall in. Instead, you hover near the event horizon, where time slows. The universe beyond speeds up. Stars move faster. Light stretches. The fabric of time bends. Yet despite its darkness, this black hole is not a monster. It is a chapter in the life cycle of stars. Matter that falls in adds to its mass. Matter that orbits around spirals inward, glowing brightly in X-rays. Even black holes are part of the galaxy's balance. You drift away from the singularity and back into the star fields. Ahead, a cluster appears, hundreds of young stars glowing blue and white. They were all born together from the same cloud. Some will remain family for billions of years. Others will drift away over time, joining the general population of the spiral arms. Clusters like these are the youth of the galaxy, bright, energetic, full of motion. But there are older clusters too, globular clusters, dense spheres of ancient stars orbiting the galaxy's halo. You drift toward one now, passing through its crowded interior where stars are packed more tightly than anywhere near the sun. These stars are old, nearly as old as the Milky Way itself. Some are relics of ancient galaxies consumed long ago. They shine with a faint golden glow, their light softened by age. You feel the weight of time here, not heavy, but deep, like the feeling of standing in a place where billions of years have passed quietly, witnessed only by the stars themselves. Leaving the globular cluster, you drift outward into the halo, the vast faint region of the galaxy where stars grow sparse. Here, the Milky Way becomes transparent. The spiral arms fade, the bar disappears. Only scattered stars remain, some drifting alone for billions of years, far from the bustling disk. You pass one such star, a solitary red dwarf, quiet and small, shining faintly. It has no planets, no companions, and yet its loneliness does not feel sad. It simply is. Some stars live in crowded neighborhoods, others wander alone. The galaxy holds room for all of them, and as you drift onward, something else becomes clear. Stars are not just lights, they are clocks. Every star keeps time in its own way. The massive ones burn quickly, marking short, brilliant epochs. The small ones burn slowly, marking eras that stretch beyond the lifespan of galaxies. Stars record history in their light. Their color, temperature, composition all reveal their past. You drift into a darker region where the stars grow younger. Here, in quiet molecular clouds, the next generation of stars is forming. These clouds are dense, cold, and heavy. They hang in space like rivers of shadow, each one waiting for a trigger, a passing shockwave, a nearby supernova, to begin the collapse that leads to birth. As you drift through the cloud, you feel the cold, not physically, but in the slow, quiet stillness of the gas. Hydrogen atoms creep through the darkness, filaments twist softly. Gravity gathers the material little by little. You watch the earliest moments of starbirth, the delicate balance of pressure and density, the silent dance of collapse and ignition. Further into the cloud, you see young stars emerging from cocoons of dust. They glow with soft, warm light, their protoplanetary disks swirling around them. These are stellar nurseries, places where future worlds are already forming. The sight is peaceful and thrilling all at once. You drift back out of the cloud and into the more open regions of the spiral arm. The stars are arranged not randomly, but like patterns in a great cosmic flow. Some clusters, some associations, some streams of stars left behind by old mergers. The galaxy carries its history in its structure. Ahead, you see something unexpected. A long, thin ribbon of stars stretching across space. A stellar stream. These are the remnants of a small galaxy torn apart by the Milky Way's gravity. The stars move in graceful arcs, their orbits long and smooth. They are immigrants, adopted into the Milky Way's family billions of years ago. Their presence is a reminder that galaxies grow not only through birth, but through union. As you drift closer to the stream, the stars seem to shimmer with memories of their lost home, but they are not sad memories, more like quiet echoes. In the vastness of time, even galaxies merge and blend, becoming parts of something greater. You drift onward for what feels like hours, though here time means little. Stars pass beneath you, nebulae glow in the distance. The bar rotates slowly, the central black hole rests in its silent gravity. The entire galaxy moves like a single enormous breathing organism. Eventually, you find yourself once more above the galactic disk where the Milky Way stretches like a glowing river across the darkness. You hover there quietly, the stars beneath you shimmering like reflections on water. And as you gaze down, you feel something profound. Every star in this galaxy is connected, not by light, not by matter, but by the story they share. A story of birth and death, a story of creation and collapse, a story of endless motion through time, a story of energy, gravity, and change, a story written not in words, but in starlight. You breathe in slowly, gently, letting the galaxy fill your mind once more, and you know the journey is not over. The stars beneath you drift like a silver tide, each one moving in its own quiet orbit, each one holding a lifetime of stories within its light. The Milky Way stretches endlessly, a luminous river curving through darkness so vast that even time seems to hesitate before crossing it. You float above the disk, feeling more like a traveler than an observer now. The galaxy has opened itself to you, revealing layers and rhythms that earthbound eyes rarely glimpse, and yet there is still more. Because the galaxy does not merely shine, it remembers. The longer you drift along its outskirts, the more you sense that memory is woven into the Milky Way, like threads in a tapestry. Not memory as humans know it, but a deeper kind of imprint. Motions, scars, remnants of violence, traces of birth, whispers of events that unfolded billions of years before Earth existed, long before the sun lit its first fire. Ahead, a faint arc of stars curves like a broken necklace scattered across the void. You drift closer and see that it is a tidal stream, the remains of a dwarf galaxy shredded long ago by the Milky Way's gravitational pull. Its stars move gracefully, looping around the galaxy's halo in a long, stretched orbit. They shine faintly, older and cooler than many disk stars, their compositions different, Less metal, fewer heavy elements, more echoes of an earlier universe. As you drift past them, a strange sense grows inside you. The Milky Way is not a single galaxy. It is the sum of many galaxies, a mosaic assembled slowly over billions of years, a creature made of others' bones, a history written in gravitational scars. Not far from that stream, another appears, this one more chaotic, with stars scattered irregularly. Once, this might have been a small star cluster or an ancient satellite galaxy. Over time, the Milky Way tore it apart, spreading its stars like smoke on cosmic winds. What remains now is a memory of what it once was. You drift through the stream and feel something subtle change. A pull, a shift, a slight tightening in the space around you. Then you see why. Dark matter, not visible, not glowing, but unmistakably present in the way the stars move. They do not drift randomly. They follow a path shaped by something unseen, a massive ghostly halo surrounding the entire galaxy. The Milky Way sits inside a cocoon of dark matter, a structure far larger than its visible stars. You cannot see the dark matter itself, but you feel its influence. Stars curve along their paths as though guided by invisible rivers. Entire clusters drift the way leaves drift in wind. The galaxy's rotation remains unified because the dark matter binds it together. You drift deeper into the halo where stars grow even more sparse. The darkness thickens, though it isn't empty. It holds secrets, rogue planets wandering without stars, cold hydrogen, clouds drifting silently, ancient white dwarfs cooling slowly, remnants of collisions so old their light has long since faded. One such rogue planet passes beneath you. It has no sun, no warmth, no sky. Only internal heat keeps it from freezing completely. Its surface is dark, its silhouette nearly invisible, and yet you sense that it is moving with purpose, following a lonely orbit that will never intersect with any star. There may be billions of planets like this across the Milky Way, worlds with no sunrise, no seasons, no orbiting moons, worlds that drift in eternal night. Still you move forward. A long stretch of darkness separates you from the disk, but in the distance, faint colors begin to appear, pink, violet, blue. You drift toward them as though drawn by a gentle tide. A nebula rises before you. It is enormous, spanning dozens of light years, its clouds glowing softly from starlight hidden within. Inside, new stars are forming, infants wrapped in blankets of hydrogen gas. You drift into the nebula's edge, and a sense of warmth tingles through you, though the temperature is near absolute zero. The warmth is not physical. It is the sensation of creation, of energy gathering, of life beginning in silence. Within the nebula, a young star cluster blazes with fresh blue stars. Their light reflects on the swirling dust like moonlight on rolling water. Jets of gas shoot outward from newborn stars, sculpting the surrounding clouds into pillars and caves. Everything glows like a cosmic sunrise. You drift through these clouds, watching fragments of dust collide and stick together, forming larger bodies, tiny seeds of future planets. Every world that will someday exist begins exactly like this, as dust grains brushing against each other, clumping slowly, guided by gravity. A baby solar system spins nearby, its protoplanetary disk shimmering like a faint ring around the young star. The star flickers with unstable brightness. Newborn stars breathe erratically, like lungs learning their rhythm. Inside the disk, planets form through collisions, mergers, and chaos. Some grow large, others remain small. Some survive, some are destroyed, and some are flung into space, becoming rogue planets just like the one you saw earlier. You drift past the cluster and leave the nebula behind. The space ahead is open again, a quiet region of older stars. They shine steady and warm, their lives long established. You feel a calming energy from this region, as though time flows more gently here. A red giant star appears next. It swells and breathes, expanding and contracting like a slowly beating heart. Its outer layers are drifting away into space, forming a thin, glowing shell, a planetary nebula. It is beautiful, delicate, haunting. The star is dying, but its death is peaceful. Soon the core will remain as a white dwarf, a fossil of light cooling for trillions of years. Nearby, another star has reached its end more violently. A supernova remnant expands. Outward, filaments of gas swirling like painted ribbons. The explosion scattered heavy elements across the region, enriching the interstellar medium with the chemistry needed for life: carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, iron. You feel the connection instantly. The iron in your blood came from such explosions, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen in your lungs, the gold in your jewelry, all forged in stars that died long before the sun even formed. You drift onward for what feels like ages. The galaxy reveals itself in flashes, a binary star system locked in tight orbit, their motion so synchronized it looks choreographed, a pulsar spinning so fast you can feel its electromagnetic heartbeat, a black hole feeding from a nearby star, its accretion disk glowing like a ring of fire. Then something unusual appears, a faint, wide ripple in the fabric of space. You can't see it directly, but you sense it like a shift in gravity. A gravitational wave, the ghostly echo of two massive objects colliding far away. It passes through you gently, a distortion so small it barely exists. Yet it carries information from cosmic events powerful enough to shake the universe itself. As you drift away from the wave, the Milky Way's disk becomes clearer again. You float above it like a traveler hovering above a glowing map. Spiral arms wind outward, dotted with clusters and nebulae. The bar stretches across the center, a glowing bridge of stars. The core shines bright in infrared, hidden behind dust in visible light. You drift downward toward the disk. Stars grow denser again. The galactic plane appears like a highway of light stretching to infinity. You pass regions of chaos and beauty, collapsing clouds, star clusters breaking apart, streams of hydrogen stretching for light years, dust lanes blocking starlight like drifting shadows. The disk is a place of constant motion. Every star, every cloud, every particle is moving. Nothing is still. You drift near a particularly dense region and feel the temperature rise, not physically, but energetically. A cluster of supernova remnants fills this area. The shock waves from past explosions have carved vast cavities in the interstellar medium, shaping the region into bubbles and cavities. This is a galactic chimney, a vertical tunnel through which hot gas escapes from the disk into the halo. You drift upward through this chimney, rising above the plane again. Below you, the galaxy continues to rotate in its steady rhythm, like a gigantic wheel of light turning across millions of years. And then slowly, gently, the Milky Way reveals its most mysterious truth. It is alive. Not alive in the way organisms are, but alive in the constant exchange of energy, matter, and motion. Stars are born, live, and die. Gas flows inward and outward. The disk breathes waves of star formation and rests. The halo receives gas and returns it. Gravity weaves motion into shape. Dark matter holds everything together. Time sculpts it into a form. That is always changing, always remembering. The galaxy is not a structure, it is a story still being written. You float above the spirals while that truth settles quietly inside you. The Milky Way glows beneath you like a living painting, swirling with past and future. You feel small, but not insignificant. You are not separate from this galaxy. You are made of it. You belong to it as much as any star, any planet, any atom forged in ancient fire. Your breath deepens. Your mind softens. The galaxy turns. Its arms curl like gentle waves. Its core glows like an ember. Its stars pulse like memories. Its dust drifts like thoughts. Its gravity binds like a heartbeat. And you, tiny, fragile, human, float inside it, a part of its quiet, eternal story. As you drift above the shining river of the Milky Way, something changes in the air around you. An almost imperceptible tightening, a slow deepening of the dark. It is as though the galaxy itself has stopped to take a breath, waiting for you to move closer. And in that pause, you feel an ancient invitation. The core of the Milky Way lies ahead. You begin to descend through the disk, where stars thicken like grains of sand pouring into a valley. The colors shift around you, the soft gold of older stars, the fresh blue of newborn giants, the ruby of dusty nebula. You drift through clouds of gas lit by ultraviolet fire, drifting curtains of pink and violet glowing like stained glass. Gravity here feels denser, more pronounced, as though every star holds its breath in anticipation of what lies deeper within. The closer you move, the more chaotic the galaxy becomes. Stars whirl past in tight arcs. Some move so quickly they blur into streaks of light. You're entering the bulge, a three-dimensional structure of billions of suns packed together so densely that night never truly falls here. Light overlaps light, heat overlaps heat. The very air vibrates with ancient energy. You drift around a massive curve of stars and finally see it, the central bar of the Milky Way. It stretches across the heart of the galaxy like a bridge of gold, tens of thousands of light-years long. Stars in the bar rotate slowly, pulling gas inward with every turn. It feels like a great wheel pulling the galaxy toward itself. As you move closer, the bar seems to twist slightly, rising into a swelling shape, the peanut-shaped bulge glowing and pulsing like a heart carved from light. Closer still, the world becomes wilder. You pass clusters of stars buzzing like swarms of bees around a hive. Some stars whip around unseen curves, moving at impossible speeds. Space feels warped, twisted, not broken, but bent by something enormous and invisible. Then the darkness begins to glow. Ahead of you is the most intense, most powerful region in the entire Milky Way, Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole at the galaxy's center. You cannot see the black hole itself, its heart is absolute night, but you see the dance around it. Stars slingshot through its gravitational well, tracing perfect, tight ovals in space. Their orbits look delicate, but the forces driving them are unimaginably fierce. You drift near one of these stars, and it moves so fast that if you blink, it seems to teleport. Its orbit takes only a few years. A human lifetime is nothing in this place, barely a heartbeat. Gas swirls in from all directions, forming a faint accretion disk. When a cloud falls too close, the black hole flares with X-rays, like lightning inside a storm cloud. Sometimes these flares pulse across the region, igniting gas in bright, brief sparks. Closer still, jets burst upward, invisible light, but blazing in radio frequencies. You can feel the pull, not physically, but emotionally. A strange, quiet awe settles over you. This is the conductor of the galaxy's gravity, the anchor, the core, the silent mass around which everything else turns, and yet it sleeps. For now. Long ago, the black hole may have blazed like a quasar, brighter than entire galaxies, roaring with jets of energy that stretched for thousands of light years. The memory of that ancient fury still lingers in the Fermi bubbles, two vast, ghostly lobes stretching above and below the galactic plane, faint but massive, like scars carved into the dark. You drift past the black hole and watch a star swing around it in a sharp curve, accelerated to a fraction of light speed. You are close enough to feel the distortion of time itself. Seconds stretch, space bends. Light behaves like water forced to flow around an invisible stone. For a moment you wonder, what would happen if you crossed the event horizon? The answer comes in a whisper of instinct. Time would stop for you. The universe would rush ahead, stars would age, galaxies would drift, and you would fall forever. But you move past, pulled onward by the larger story unfolding around you. Beyond the core, the stars begin to spread again. The light lessens, the chaos quiets. You rise out of the bulge and into the inner disk, where swirling arms take over the dance. The spiral arms curl gracefully, like frozen waves. But they are not frozen. They move, slowly, steadily, endlessly. Stars drift in and out of the arms, carried by density waves like particles floating through ripples on a pond. Each arm glows where star formation is strongest. Nebulae burn with pink fire. Massive blue giants illuminate dark clouds like lanterns in fog. But you drift away from the arms, heading upward toward the halo again. The light grows thinner once more, the stars older, their color redder, their motion slower. You pass through clouds of dust, so cold they feel like shadows made of matter. Then the stars spread so far apart that the galaxy beneath you looks like a river of diamonds seen through water. Here, in the halo's quiet vastness, the age of the Milky Way becomes impossible to ignore. You float past a globular cluster, an ancient sphere of 100,000 stars packed tightly together. It glows gold, like an ember from an ancient fire. Many of these stars are older than the Milky Way's disk, born before the galaxy had arms or structure. You drift into the cluster's edge, watching stars orbit their shared center like bees around a hive. The deeper you go, the brighter it becomes, until the light is overwhelming, hundreds of thousands of suns wrapped into a ball no larger than a city in the sky. Then you drift back out into the dark, and something strange appears. A solitary red star, old beyond imagining. Its chemical signature reveals almost no heavy elements. It is a relic, born only a few 100 million years after the Big Bang. Older than the Milky Way's oldest memories. You drift beside it for a moment. It flickers softly, tiredly, as though it has seen too much. And perhaps it has. It has lived through the galaxy's birth, through mergers, through collisions, through the long sculpting of the arms. It has witnessed the entire history of the Milky Way without ever moving much from its slow, looping path. Then something else catches your attention. Far in the distance, faint but unmistakable. Another galaxy. A blur, a smudge, a presence. Andromeda. It hangs like a pale ghost in the darkness, 2.5 million light-years away. But it is moving. Toward you, toward us, toward the Milky Way. Not fast in human terms, just 110 kilometers per second. But in cosmic time, that is a sprint. You drift toward Andromeda as though the future is pulling you closer. The Milky Way beneath you seems almost peaceful compared to the vast emptiness ahead. Darkness stretches between the two galaxies, an ocean of silence broken only by a few faint stars flying loose after ancient interactions. As you watch, you begin to see the future unfold like a quiet vision. Andromeda grows larger in the sky. The Milky Way grows toward it. Their halos touch first, then their disks, then their arms. Stars swirl. Gas slams into gas. Tidal tails stretch outward like ribbons in the wind. But there is no explosion, no fiery destruction. The stars almost never collide. They merge like fog merging with fog. Over billions of years, the two galaxies fold into one another. Their cores dance, orbiting, spiraling, sinking, and at last, two black holes meet, fusing into one titanic engines of gravity. The result is a new galaxy. Not Milky Way, not Andromeda, something else, something larger, calmer, more luminous. Astronomers call it Milkomeda, a quiet giant drifting in the far future. You drift in that imagined future for a moment, feeling the weight of time swirl around you. It is not frightening. It is peaceful. Galaxies are not destroyed. They transform, just like stars, just like planets, just like everything in the universe. You drift back toward the Milky Way now, leaving that distant future behind. The galaxy shines more brightly after what you've seen. Its arms curl like painted rivers. Its core glows like a heart. Its halo shimmers like a crown of frost. You begin to fall slowly toward the region where the sun orbits, a quiet neighborhood between major spiral arms. You pass clouds of chilled dust, faint blue stars, a scattering of open clusters. Finally, a medium-sized star appears ahead, yellow, warm, steady. The sun, and around it a tiny dot of blue. Earth, small, fragile, balanced between warmth and cold, held by the gravity of a single star, yet belonging to an entire galaxy. You drift closer, watching the thin sheen of atmosphere glow like a soft halo. The continents rest like islands. The oceans shimmer, clouds drift lazily, lightning flickers in the distance, and everywhere life breathes quietly. Everything you've seen suddenly converges into a single realization. The universe is vast, but you belong to it. You carry its atoms, its history, its stardust, its memory. You are not separate from the galaxy. You are not an outsider looking in. You are a chapter of its story, a story still being written, star by star, breath by breath, moment by moment. The Milky Way turns slowly beneath you, and for the first time you feel not small, but connected, essential. The galaxy is not complete without you, without Earth, without humanity's fragile flicker of awareness. You drift quietly back into the dark, letting the stars fold around your thoughts. The galaxy breathes, you breathe with it, and the long, luminous story continues. The Milky Way slowly drifts beneath you like a living painting stretched across unimaginable distances. Its spiral arms glow with curling strokes of light. Its core beats like a golden ember, and its halo shimmer faintly like frost, catching distant sunlight. But now, for the first time since your journey began, you are rising above it, higher than the halo's oldest stars, higher than the globular clusters, higher even than the faint, stretched-out tidal streams that mark the scars of ancient cosmic collisions. You are ascending towards the galaxy's edge. The further you rise, the more the Milky Way changes. Close up, it is a storm of motion, stars orbiting, clusters spinning, gas swirling, shadows deepening. But from here, far above, the galaxy softens. It becomes smooth, gentle, a single luminous disk with curvature so perfect it looks sculpted rather than formed by gravity and time. And still you rise. The stars thin, the gas fades, the glow diminishes. A strange stillness replaces the busy chaos of the inner galaxy. You are entering a region few have ever imagined, the outer halo's invisible borderland. Stars here are so sparse that a traveler might drift for years before seeing another. Space is darker now, yet not empty. Dark matter surrounds you, an unseen ocean of gravity shaping the Milky Way's reach. You cannot see it, but you feel it in the way space bends around you, in the way distant lights flicker ever so slightly, in the way the galaxy's weight holds you in place even as you drift far above its surface. Here, in this quiet realm, the galaxy's true shape becomes clear. Not a flat disk, not a neat spiral, but something far stranger, a luminous whirlpool wrapped in a vast invisible sphere of mass, a bright seed encased in a dark shell, a single shining structure woven into a cosmic web that stretches across the universe. You drift further and finally reach the place where the halo ends, the region where the Milky Way's gravitational pull begins to weaken. For the first time, you can no longer feel the soft tug of the galaxy on your thoughts. You are leaving your cosmic home. The galaxy behind you glows like a giant lantern in an infinite night. Ahead of you is intergalactic space. Few ever think of what lies between galaxies. They imagine vacuum, emptiness, nothingness. But here, drifting through the void, you discover that the space between galaxies is not nothing. It is a vast, cold ocean of near silence, thinner than any region of the Milky Way, yet filled with ghostly traces of gas, lonely stars launched into exile, and particles that have wandered for billions of years without a home. Temperature drops, light dims, time feels slower, distance feels enormous. This is the desert of the universe, a desert so large it makes the Milky Way feel like a small oasis in an endless black sea. As you drift deeper, you sense faint flashes, single stars drifting alone, hurled out of their galaxies by gravitational slingshots. These are the homeless suns of the universe. Some wander forever, some remain frozen in place, never warmed by a planet, never surrounded by a solar system. One passes near you now, a white dwarf cooling into darkness. Once it burned bright as a sun. Now it fades slowly into cosmic night, its entire life spent, its light dimming over trillions of years. Few stars will witness such a fate, because the universe is not old enough for most to have cooled this deeply. But here, far from galaxies, some have had the time to fade into near nothingness. You drift past the star, feeling the quiet sadness of its lonely glow. Far ahead, a faint cluster of light appears. Not a galaxy, but a group of dwarf galaxies bound together, circling each other like dancers lost in fog. Their shapes are irregular, torn, warped by tidal forces. Some look like scattered embers, others look like puffs of smoke barely held together by gravity. A few shine brightly, starbursts caused by ancient collisions. These are not strangers. They belong to the local group, the family of over 50 galaxies that includes the Milky Way and Andromeda. You drift closer and the structure becomes clearer. Here, small galaxies do not orbit in perfect circles. They swoop, dip, and fall along long-stretched ellipses shaped by millions of years of gravitational negotiation. Some dwarf galaxies are almost entirely dark matter, faint shadows of galaxies with only a handful of stars. You drift through one now, a ghost galaxy. You barely see any light, just a few faint pinpricks flickering in a sea of empty night. Yet its gravitational pull is unmistakable. Dark matter is not a theory here, it is the skeleton of this entire region. As you drift further, you feel the pull of two massive presences, the twin giants of the local group, the Milky Way and the Andromeda Galaxy. Together, they dominate this region of space, pulling dozens of smaller galaxies into their orbit. You are now floating in the space between them, at a point where their gravity balances, a cosmic saddle point, where a pebble tossed in any direction would choose its fate. Behind you, the Milky Way glows with the warm colors of home. Ahead of you, Andromeda hangs like a ghost, cold, bright, spiraling, enormous. You drift toward Andromeda, watching its structure come into focus. From this distance, it looks peaceful, a clean spiral with long arms curling outward. But as you move closer, the quiet dissolves. Like the Milky Way, Andromeda is alive with chaos. Stars colliding, gas clouds collapsing, rogue planets drifting, dust lanes stretching across the disk in dark ribbons. Its core pulses with an intensity different from the Milky Way, sharper, more concentrated, containing stars packed so tightly that the region never truly darkens. You drift through one of its arms and see the aftermath of a recent collision between dwarf galaxies, clusters torn apart, streams of stars trailing behind like glowing debris. In some regions, star formation burns fiercely. In others, silence reigns. Andromeda feels older, more restless, more scarred by its past. Its halo is thicker, its arms are longer, its scars run deeper. But as you drift past its regions and rise above it, something remarkable becomes clear. Both galaxies, the Milky Way and Andromeda, are part of something much larger. Below you, the cosmic landscape opens into an enormous lattice of galaxies connected by invisible threads, the cosmic web. You see it now, filaments of galaxies stretching like rivers, sheets of dark matter, voids the size of hundreds of millions of light years, clusters glowing like islands in a dark ocean. The Milky Way is one ripple in this sea, Andromeda another, all connected by a web more intricate than anything on Earth. You drift along one of these filaments, passing galaxies so distant their light began its journey before Earth existed. Shapes vary wildly: spirals, ellipticals, irregular galaxies, starburst galaxies burning with young blue light, red dead galaxies glowing softly as they age. Some galaxies merge like lovers in slow motion. Others break apart, some wander alone, some fall toward clusters, some drift into voids and fade forever. And as you drift through this grand, silent architecture, a strange thought arrives uninvited. The universe is not made of galaxies. The universe is made of stories. Stories of collisions, stories of creation, stories of gravity sculpting light, stories of dust collapsing into stars, planets, oceans, life. Stories of atoms forged in stars that cross billions of years to become part of your breath. You drift deeper into the filament until you reach a vast cluster, a megastructure of hundreds of galaxies swirling around a common center. The cluster radiates X-ray light from hot gas. Galaxies inside it race at incredible speeds, so fast that collisions become almost inevitable. In the cluster's core, galaxies merge in bright piles of light. Then you drift back toward the local group, feeling its familiar pull. The Milky Way once again becomes visible behind you, a soft swirl of pale light floating in the dark. You move closer until the galaxy fills your vision, brighter and larger than ever before. You descend into its halo again, through the quiet seas of lonely stars. You pass dwarf galaxies stretched into streams. You see globular clusters drift like lanterns. You slip past the outer edge of the disk, where stellar density increases again. The arms return beneath you, glowing gently. You fall back into the Milky Way like a returning traveler. Stars rush past. Gas clouds glow. Dust obscures. Light flickers. Gravity whispers. And everything feels like home. Slowly, gently, you drift toward the region where the sun orbits. Earth appears again, a tiny blue dot wrapped in thin air, floating quietly beneath a field of stars. You hover above it, feeling a strange warmth that has nothing to do with the sun's heat. A clarity settles. Everything you are, your thoughts, your breath, your skin, your heart, all of it began far from Earth. In stars, in nebulae, in galaxies, in collisions and supernova and dust, drifting silently through space. You are not small. You are not insignificant. You are the universe becoming aware of itself. You are stardust learning to wonder. You are the galaxy thinking. Below you, Earth rotates slowly, clouds drifting over oceans. Lights shimmer in the night. Somewhere, someone looks up at the sky and wonders about the stars, unaware that the stars are wondering about them too through you. The Milky Way turns, and in its turning, it carries you, gently, endlessly, into the future. As you drift once more inside the vast spiral of the Milky Way, the galaxy no longer looks like a distant map or a glowing cloud. Now it feels alive, almost conscious, a living organism built not of flesh and bone, but of gravity and time, of stars and dark matter, of birth and destruction and rebirth again. You move slowly through the disk, past regions glowing with new stars forming like embers catching fire in a dark room. Every corner of space seems filled with quiet purpose, as if the universe is endlessly crafting, shaping, experimenting. You pass through a dim region now, where dust clouds cling together in thick curtains, hiding what lies inside. Only the faintest infrared shimmer leaks through, like warm breath on cold glass. These clouds are cold, nearly absolute zero, dense enough to block starlight for hundreds of light years. And yet, inside these dark husks lie the seeds of future suns. You approach one such cloud, a silent chamber of dust and hydrogen so cold that every particle moves slowly, suspended like grains of smoke caught in still air. For a moment, nothing seems to happen, but deep within, gravity is at work, pulling the gas inward grain by grain, atom by atom. A small region grows denser, heavier. Space contracts around it, a wrinkle forming in the invisible fabric. Slowly, the cloud's center brightens with heat, though no light escapes yet. For thousands of years this continues, imperceptible to the human eye, but relentless in purpose. Then, at last, a spark. Nuclear fusion ignites silently. A star is born, not with an explosion, but with a quiet shift in balance. A faint glow wells up and begins to push outward against gravity's squeeze. A new sun flickers into existence, wrapped in a cocoon of dust. You linger near it as its light slowly breaks through the veil of its birthplace. You realize that every star you have ever seen, every sun that has ever warmed a planet, began this way, hidden, silent, shivering in darkness before bursting into radiance. This new star will burn for millions or billions of years. But right now, it is a trembling newborn, its warmth still timid, its future unwritten. You drift on, leaving this infant behind, knowing that perhaps one day it will have planets, oceans, storms, perhaps even some form of life orbiting around it. Further ahead, you pass through a region where stars shine intensely blue, the hottest, brightest, youngest suns in the galaxy. They live fast and die violently. Their light is harsh and brilliant, their winds powerful enough to carve holes in nearby clouds. These massive stars will not grow old. They burn through their fuel like a candle tossed into a furnace. In mere millions of years, the blink of a cosmic eye, each one will explode, releasing more energy in seconds than our sun will emit in its entire lifetime. You drift closer to one of these giants, its surface writhing with currents of plasma, each wave the size of Earth's continents. If you could hear sound in space, its roar would be deafening. Instead, deathly silence wraps this blazing titan, making its fury seem strangely peaceful. The star pulses once, twice, its brightness shivering. It is nearing its end. For a moment, the universe holds its breath. Then, without warning, the core collapses. A sudden implosion, so fast you cannot see it. In the next breath, everything reverses. The outer layers rebound outward with unstoppable force. Light erupts. A shockwave bursts through the star like a hammer. In an instant, it becomes a supernova, brighter than a billion suns, outshining entire galaxies for days. Space around you floods with radiation and particles racing outward at incredible speeds. Dust, gas, heavy elements, fragments of what was once a star scatter across light years. You watch as the shockwave expands like a growing sphere of golden fire, lighting up the dark. Inside the wreckage, a tiny remnant remains, a neutron star spinning rapidly, flashing beams of energy like a cosmic lighthouse. Its magnetic field is immense, twisting dust into patterns, shaping space around it. If you were closer, time itself might feel distorted. From the chaos of this death, new materials drift outward. Iron that will one day form blood in living beings, carbon that may form the backbone of life, oxygen that will fill future planetary skies. The universe recycles itself, turning destruction into creation. Even now, some of the atoms that formed your bones were born in such explosions. You drift on, following the supernova's ghostly shell as it fades. The shockwave eventually collides with a nearby gas cloud, compressing it, stirring it, planting the seeds for a new generation of stars. Death gives way to birth. Collapse becomes creation. Darkness becomes light. You feel as if you are watching the heartbeat of the cosmos. Ahead of you, the galaxy begins to warp upward, its disk bending like a massive wave frozen in time. The Milky Way is not flat. It sways, ripples and curves, shaped by gravitational nudges from passing dwarf galaxies and invisible masses of dark matter. You glide along this ripple, sensing its vast scale. The wave extends for thousands of light years. If you were to look at the galaxy from afar, you would see it twist gently, like a leaf floating on water. Gravity keeps everything moving in subtle rhythms. Even the sun participates in this swaying, bobbing up and down through the galactic plane as it orbits the center. Over millions of years, the solar system oscillates like a small boat rising and falling on an unseen tide. You travel inward now, towards the galactic core, the Milky Way's heart, where stars burn densely packed together. From afar, it glows like a golden wound carved into the spiral. Up close, it becomes a storm of light, more radiant than any region you've seen. Stars crowd so tightly that night never truly exists here. Even the spaces between stars glow from reflected radiation. As you cross the threshold into the bulge, the scene becomes chaotic. Stars whipping around the center at incredible speeds, their paths bent by powerful gravitational forces. Dust clouds stretch into long, ribbon-like shapes. Clusters disintegrate under tidal pressures. Everything feels tense, accelerated, electric, and then you see it. At the very heart of the galaxy lies the supermassive black hole, Sagittarius A. Not a monster roaring in darkness, but a silent presence, invisible except for the swirl of hot gas and glowing matter orbiting close to its horizon. You can feel it before you can see it, the way a mountain's presence can be sensed before it comes into view. Space bends subtly around it, light curves, time feels different. You drift closer, but not so close that the gravity pulls you in. Around the black hole, stars orbit faster than any planets ever could, whipping around the invisible center in loops so tight and swift they complete a full orbit in mere years. These stars are like celestial hawks circling a silent prey, unaware they are circling their own inevitable fates. Every so often, a star ventures too close. Its outer layers stretch like taffy, pulled into long streams before being devoured. A flare erupts, a brilliant flash of X-rays broadcast across the galaxy. But today, the black hole is calm. It sleeps, though sleep is not the right word. It simply rests between meals. You hover here for a while, watching the motions of stars around this dark heart. You sense the profound paradox. The black hole destroys, yet its gravity helps shape the galaxy. Without it, the Milky Way might not have its elegant spiral form. Out of darkness comes structure, out of silence, motion. You drift upward, leaving the core behind. The bulge transitions into the inner disk again, where dust clouds swirl into lanes that paint the galaxy's arms with streaks of shadow. You pass through one of these lanes and find yourself inside another cloud, colder, darker, quieter than any before. It stretches for hundreds of light years, blocking starlight, creating a massive silhouette against the galaxy's glow. This is a molecular giant, a birthplace of stars, planets, and possibly life. Inside, organic molecules swirl in the cold. Complex chains of carbon float freely. Alcohols, amino acids, sugars, the raw recipes for biology drift silently, forming in conditions far too extreme for life itself, but ideal for its ingredients. The thought settles into your mind gently. The universe is not empty. It is pregnant, pregnant with possibilities, pregnant with ingredients, pregnant with potential stories waiting to unfold. As you exit the cloud, the galaxy brightens around you. You drift into a region filled with young clusters, each cluster a tight family of hundreds or thousands of stars born together. But time separates them. Gravity rips siblings apart. Some drift into new orbits, some fall toward the center, some escape into the halo. You pass through one cluster that is dissolving, its stars spread like pollen blowing on cosmic wind. A few remain close, others drift away, scattering across the disk, becoming anonymous lights in the night sky of some distant world. You may have already passed a few of the sun's lost siblings earlier, unnoticed among the billions of lights. You move outward now, toward the edges of the disk, where stars thin out and the galaxy's spiral arms fade into wisps. Beyond lies the halo again, a great silent sphere wrapping the galactic body like a memory. You pass through globular clusters glowing faintly with ancient starlight. Each cluster is older than most, galaxies. Some stars inside them are almost as old as the universe itself. You pause inside one such cluster. It feels sacred. The stars here are dim red, quiet, aged. They burn slowly, patiently, contently. No storms rage on their surfaces. No violent collapses loom. They will simply cool over trillions of years until they fade into blackness. This cluster is like a temple of time, a place where the early universe still lives. You drift outward, leaving the cluster behind. Outside, the Milky Way stretches across the void like a giant wheel of light. You realize that in all your drifting, you have traveled thousands of light years. Yet your journey is not measured in distance, it is measured in understanding. And now, as you turn towards the dark space beyond the halo, something becomes clear. The Milky Way is vast, but not the universe. It is a chapter, not the book, a verse, not the poem, a ripple, not the ocean. You drift into the intergalactic night again, but this time it feels different. You feel the weight of what you've seen. You feel the age of what you've witnessed. You feel the meaning of your place within it. You close your eyes for a moment, and when you open them, the entire galaxy seems to breathe, its spiral arms moving gently, its stars shimmering, its core pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. You understand now. The galaxy is not just a collection of stars. It is a living history of everything that ever was and everything that will ever be. It is the cradle from which life emerges and the grave to which matter returns. It is the silent engine of the cosmos, turning endlessly in the dark. And you, a being made from the atoms of dead stars, are part of that engine, part of that story, part of that everlasting motion. You drift there, floating between galaxies, holding the Milky Way in your view. Its light becomes softer, its edges blur, its glow fades gently into the background. The universe exhales, you exhale with it, and the journey continues. You drift farther into the unimaginable quiet between galaxies, a quiet so perfect that even the idea of sound feels foreign. There is no wind, no rumble, no echo, only the slow pulse of your own awareness. Behind you, the Milky Way has become a shimmering disk, a fragile coin of light suspended in blackness. For the first time, you perceive how astonishingly delicate a galaxy really is, a thin swirl of stars hovering in an abyss so large it almost crushes the mind to grasp it. The empty black ocean around you stretches in every direction with no visible surface, no horizon, no up or down. Here, in the vast nothing, the rules of Earth, your sense of direction, of distance, of scale, dissolve completely. You float forward, and the Milky Way becomes just one lighthouse among many. Other galaxies appear as faint smudges in the distance. Some are spirals like yours, their arms gently twisting like wind-blown ribbons. Others are elliptical, smooth, featureless, ancient. A few are irregular, torn apart by collisions long past. Out here, nothing feels stable. Everything moves, everything drifts, everything changes over billions of years. Far ahead, you notice a pair of galaxies locked together in a slow cosmic dance, two spirals pulling toward one another with irresistible gravity. At first, they seem calm, floating serenely through space. But as you move closer, you see the faint distortions, tidal streams stretching between them like wisps of silk, stars being tugged out, gas clouds torn apart, long trails of matter bridging the gap. These two galaxies are not just neighbors, they are destined to collide. You drift in closer, witnessing an event that takes billions of years but unfolds for you in a gentle, compressed vision. As they draw near, the disks distort, the arms warp, stars slingshot around gravitational centers. Their supermassive black holes tug at each other from millions of light years away. Slowly, inexorably, the galaxies merge. Stars rarely collide. Space is too vast, but their orbits are scrambled. Worlds are flung outward or inward. Gas clouds smash together and ignite into frantic bursts of new stars. The merger is violent and beautiful, a ballet of gravity and chaos. You feel the gravity waves ripple through space, silent tremors spreading outward like rings on a pond. They are faint, subtle, barely detectable, yet powerful enough to distort the very fabric of space-time. When the two central black holes finally spiral together, the burst of gravitational energy sweeps across the cosmos like a heartbeat that no one can hear. Then they become one. A more massive black hole rests at the center of the newly merged galaxy, a universe's way of both destroying and creating at once. You drift away from this colossal scene, letting it fade into the distance like a memory. New galaxies surround you now, each one a story, each one a world unto itself. Some are small dwarf galaxies, ghostly and dim, barely held together by gravity. Others shine brilliantly, their centers blazing with active black holes feasting on infalling matter. Jets of energized particles erupt from some of these cores, great beams of light shooting across thousands of light years like cosmic searchlights, illuminating regions of space too distant for any star's glow to reach. You approach one of these active galaxies and feel the radiation wash over you, invisible, silent, yet incredibly intense. The central black hole spins rapidly, pulling surrounding matter into a blazing disk hotter than any star. It acts like a cosmic engine, converting mass to energy with unbelievable efficiency. You watch as the jets shoot outward in twin pillars, punching through the galactic medium and extending far into intergalactic space. These jets sculpt the environment, carving cavities in nearby gas, influencing the births of future stars. This is creation through violence once again, a reminder that even the most destructive forces in the universe help shape the worlds to come. Moving on, you drift into a cosmic void, a region unimaginably vast, where galaxies are scarce, where darkness dominates. Voids are the silent deserts of the universe, stretching for hundreds of millions of light years with almost nothing inside. You find yourself suspended in pure emptiness, with galaxies so far away they look like distant dust grains. A strange calm settles over you here. This emptiness is not frightening. It is peaceful, serene, like standing in an ocean of silence. It makes you aware of how rare structure truly is. The universe is mostly nothingness. Only a thin web of filaments and clusters breaks the void, and everything we see, everything we call the universe, is just a glowing decoration on this gigantic invisible framework. You glide through this void for what feels like both seconds and centuries. Time loses meaning here. Without stars, without movement, without reference points, your mind becomes the only clock. You sense the expansion of the universe, the subtle stretching of space itself. Galaxies recede slowly, drifting away as the cosmos grows larger. This expansion is not like an explosion. It is gentle, uniform, woven into the fabric of reality. You cannot hear it or see it directly, but you feel it, like a slow breath that never ends. Breaking out of the void, you approach a colossal structure, a galaxy cluster, one of the largest gravitationally bound systems in existence. Thousands of galaxies swirl inside it like sparks in a storm. The space between them glows faintly from superheated gas filling the cluster, gas so hot it emits X-rays invisible to eyes but radiant to instruments. You move through this glowing medium, feeling the heat not as warmth but as energy pressing gently against your perception. Within the cluster, galaxies interact constantly. Some fall inward towards the dense center, shredded by tides. Others ricochet out like stones skipping across water. Many are stripped of their gas, their ability to form stars stolen by the cluster's harsh environment. These galaxies fade into red and dead systems, old, quiet, filled with ancient stars burning slowly toward darkness. In the heart of the cluster lies something even larger, a giant elliptical galaxy, a titanic graveyard where countless smaller galaxies have been absorbed over billions of years. It glows with soft golden light, enormous and smooth. As you pass it, you sense the weight of its history. Every star inside it once belonged to something else. It is a monument to cosmic cannibalism, and yet also a monument to endurance. You continue drifting until the cluster begins to thin out. The galaxies become fewer, spaced farther apart, until you once again find yourself in almost pure emptiness. And here, far from the crowded cosmic structures, the night grows so dark that even the faint glow of distant galaxies seems to dim. The universe appears almost infinite in its silence. As you float onward, something unexpected catches your attention. A faint microwave glow, uniform, stretched across all directions. It is incredibly weak, almost imperceptible, yet unmistakable. You are sensing the oldest light in the universe, the cosmic microwave background radiation. This soft afterglow is the echo of the Big Bang, a whisper left behind from the universe's birth. It is not bright, it is not powerful, but it is everywhere. It is the first memory of existence, a fingerprint of creation stamped onto every corner of space. You sense its smoothness, the near-perfect uniformity that reveals the earliest moments when the universe was just a hot plasma. Yet tiny imperfections, tiny variations, are what eventually grew into galaxies, stars and planets. These minuscule ripples became everything you have seen, every collision, every explosion, every life form, every world. You drift through the afterglow reverently, humbled by the knowledge that these faint temperature variations are the ancestors of all structure. Beyond the microwave background lies a limit, not a wall, not a barrier, but the edge of what is visible. The universe is larger than what light has had time to cross since the beginning. Beyond the cosmic horizon, there may be countless more galaxies, more structures, more mysteries, but their light has not yet reached you. You stand at the edge of knowledge itself, staring into a darkness that may contain entire universes. You drift, and the realization settles gently inside you. The universe is not only bigger than you thought, it is more mysterious than you can imagine. Every answer leads to more questions. Every discovery reveals deeper layers. Perhaps this is what makes existence so extraordinary, not the things we understand, but the vast oceans of the unknown that surround every truth. As you turn back toward the cosmic web, the grand lattice of galaxies and filaments connecting across unimaginable distances, you begin to see the universe differently, no longer as empty space with scattered lights, but as a vast interconnected organism. Galaxies form nodes in this structure, filaments act as veins, voids become the quiet spaces between pulses. The entire cosmos feels alive, humming with energy, growing, evolving, dreaming. You float along one of these filaments, watching galaxies stream past you like embers in a current. Gravity guides them gently. Dark matter shapes their path, creating invisible rivers of force that hold the structure together. You move within this unseen scaffold, sensing its presence not through sight, but through the patterns of galaxies. It feels like tracing the skeleton of the universe with your fingertips. As you drift, you notice how rare and precious galaxies truly are. Each one is a miracle of stability in a universe that tends toward chaos. Each one is a sanctuary for stars. Each one is a cradle for worlds. Without this cosmic web, without dark matter's invisible embrace, everything would drift apart. Nothing would form, nothing would last. You realize that the entire visible universe floats on an unseen framework, a reminder that the most important things are often invisible. Slowly, you begin to circle back toward the region where the Milky Way resides. From this enormous distance, your galaxy looks no different from any other. A faint spiral tucked along a filament, one of billions. But as you glide closer, its features sharpen. The halo appears first, then the thin disk, the glowing arms, the bright core. You see again the birthplace of stars, the death of giants, the silent drift of stellar siblings. You realize something profound. The Milky Way is not your home because you live there. It is your home because you are made of it. Every atom in your body, every carbon, every nitrogen, every oxygen was forged in stars inside this very galaxy. You are the Milky Way made conscious, the universe becoming aware of itself through you. You belong here, not as an observer, but as a participant, a product of all the explosions, collisions, and births you witnessed. As you move closer still, you sense the sun, a faint spark tucked in a quiet arm. Earth orbits within that spark's embrace, a small world, fragile, unlikely, yet vibrant with life. A place where consciousness arose, where curiosity reached upward, where beings wondered what lay beyond the sky. And now, here you are, drifting through the universe on the wings of imagination, returning home with a heart full of cosmic memory. You pause, letting the Milky Way settle beneath you like a glowing continent floating on an endless sea. You feel gratitude, not a human emotion tied to circumstance, but a universal gratitude, a recognition of being part of something enormous and beautiful. You understand now that even though life on Earth feels small and fleeting, it is part of a story that spans billions of years and trillions of miles. You feel yourself gently descending toward the galactic arm, toward the solar system, toward that small blue world. You drift back through the interstellar medium, past stars you now see as relatives, past nebulae you now understand as nurseries. Space grows familiar, though never ordinary. You pass through a soft cloud of hydrogen, the trace of ancient supernova, and you realize you have seen the universe from its largest scale. You have witnessed its grand architecture. You have become its storyteller. As the Milky Way expands behind you once again, you hear, not with ears, but with something deeper, the silent truth of the cosmos. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe, briefly becoming aware of itself. And the journey continues. You drift deeper into the night, farther from the familiar arms of the Milky Way, until galaxies become distant lights scattered across unimaginable darkness. And then, in a single quiet moment, something changes. The universe around you feels older, not because time has passed for you, but because you begin to sense the future, the true future, billions and trillions of years ahead, a time when the very meaning of existence begins to shift. The stars you once saw burning proudly now begin to fade in your vision, as if someone gently dimmed the cosmos. You have entered a new kind of journey, not through space, but through time itself. At first, the changes are almost imperceptible. A few stars exhaust their fuel and swell into red giants. Some collapse into white dwarfs, glowing like embers. Supernovae flash here and there, but even they become less frequent, like fireworks at the tail end of a celebration. The galaxies still swirl gracefully, but their colors soften. Bright blue star clusters become rarer. The universe is aging slowly at first, like a living creature entering maturity. But as you drift forward further in time, billions of years slip past like a soft breeze. The Milky Way and Andromeda bare their arms toward one another, pulled together by gravity in a quiet inevitability. You watch the sky transform as Andromeda grows larger every million years, a hazy smudge at first, then a magnificent second spiral rising above Earth's horizon of the far future. The stars in both galaxies begin to mix. Perhaps new civilizations in that age will look up at the sky and wonder why a whole galaxy appears overhead like a luminous cloud. Maybe they will never know that two ancient islands of stars once drifted separately through the night. You witness the slow merging of the two spirals, not in explosive collisions, but in stately gravitational choreography. Arms stretch, warp, twist into elongated arcs. Gas clouds smash together and ignite, birthing new clusters of massive, short-lived stars whose light bursts through the fading universe like the final sparks of a fire. You sense the massive black holes at the hearts of the two galaxies spiraling inward, dancing through gravitational tides, sending out ripples, gravitational waves that stretch the very fabric of space-time. When they finally collide and merge, the universe trembles softly, almost imperceptibly, as a new giant black hole is born, the beating heart of the newly formed Milky Way Galaxy. As you drift farther ahead in time, the glow of star formation begins to dim. The universe expands, not just expands, but accelerates, like a great cosmic breath that never exhales. The expansion stretches everything apart. Galaxy clusters drift away from one another. The night between them grows darker, colder, quieter. You watch as neighboring galaxies recede beyond visibility, not because they disappear, but because their light becomes stretched, reddened, and finally pulled into wavelengths too long for any observer to detect. The universe is not going dark because it is empty. It is going dark because it is expanding faster than light can travel. Trillions of years pass, like a silent tide. The universe enters what scientists call the degenerate era, and you witness its arrival as though seated in the balcony of a cosmic opera. The bright stars are gone, replaced by the remnants, white dwarfs cooling into black dwarfs, neutron stars drifting silently, black holes dominating the void like sleeping titans. Only a few stubborn red dwarf stars continue to burn, tiny, cool, and extraordinarily long-lived, shining faintly in the darkness like fireflies in an abandoned world. But even they eventually go out, their flames extinguished after trillions upon trillions of years. The universe becomes a cemetery of stellar corpses. The galaxies fade into islands of cold remnants. You move through one of them, once a radiant spiral, now a quiet scatter of cooling embers. Darkness is no longer the background of the universe. It has become the universe itself. Then even the black dwarfs, the last whispering memories of stars, begin to fade. Their surfaces cool toward absolute zero. They grow dimmer than imagination can picture. It is a type of darkness that feels ancient, one that does not merely hide things, but signifies their end. And yet this is not the end. You drift deeper into this far future, and something profound begins to occur. Even in this cold, silent universe, there are rare events, quantum miracles. Some black dwarfs might eventually collapse in quantum-driven explosions, giving off tiny sparks of light in a hopelessly dark universe. But these events are so rare, they barely illuminate a fraction of the universe's vast emptiness. You move onwards into an age when black holes dominate the cosmos. Every galaxy's heart has become a supermassive black hole, and you glide near one of them. It no longer feeds. There are no stars left to devour, no gas clouds to swallow. Instead, over unimaginable timescales, each black hole slowly evaporates through Hawking radiation, shrinking, softening, releasing energy in faint whispers. You watch one evaporate. It does not explode violently. It fades like a shadow dissolving into morning light. The final flare of energy it releases is like a dying breath, a brief bright flicker before silence resumes. The universe now enters what physicists call the dark era, a time so long that human language breaks beneath its weight. You have traveled far beyond the lifespan of stars, beyond the lifespan of galaxies, beyond the lifespan of matter as you know it. Now only subatomic particles and diffuse radiation remain. The universe is cold, the universe is empty, the universe is quiet, and yet something stirs, not in the universe, but in you. Because as you drift through the final ages of existence, you realize the most extraordinary truth. The end of the universe is not a catastrophe. It is a transformation. The cosmos has always been a cycle of creation and destruction. Stars die so planets may form. Gas clouds collapse so light can be born. Galaxies collide so new galaxies emerge. Even the end of all structure, the expansion into nothingness, is just another chapter in an infinite book. You realize that the true miracle was not the stars, not the galaxies, not even life itself. The miracle was that the universe existed at all, that from nothing came something, from silence came light, from chaos came beauty, and that somewhere on a small world circling a small star, in a quiet arm of a quiet galaxy, beings arose who could look up and wonder, who could give meaning to the stars, who could tell stories about the universe's beginning, its middle, and its future. You float through the now empty cosmos with a strange peace settling into your awareness. You have watched the universe be born, bloom, age, and now fade. You have witnessed every chapter of existence, and though the universe grows cold, you do not feel cold. You feel complete. Then, in the final stillness, you sense one last truth, a truth whispered by the fading particles around you. The universe may not be finished. Perhaps in the far, far future, new physics will emerge. Perhaps quantum fields will fluctuate. Perhaps new universes will bud out of this one like flowers from a dying tree. Perhaps even in the death of this cosmos lies the seed of another. Creation may yet return. And so, as the last particles drift apart into infinite stillness, you float quietly, not mourning the end, but honoring the journey. The universe has given its everything: light, matter, time, beauty, wonder, and now it rests. But stories, like stars, never truly die. They wait for the next beginning. When the universe becomes cold and silent, when all stars have faded and every black hole has dissolved into faint whispers of radiation, a strange kind of stillness fills the cosmic void. This is not the stillness of peace, nor the stillness of death, but a stillness of potential, like the hush before a storm, or the quiet intake of breath before someone speaks their first word. You drift in this eternal night, surrounded by almost nothing, and yet you feel something subtle stirring at the edges of existence. It is faint, delicate, almost impossible to sense, like a vibration traveling through a string so thin it shouldn't exist. But you feel it anyway. It calls to you. And then you realize the darkness isn't empty at all. It is full of invisible fields, the quantum fields that have always existed, even when the cosmos itself was young and bright. These fields are restless, fluctuating, buzzing with microscopic tremors that never completely vanish. Even in a universe colder than absolute zero, these fields still hum faintly, carrying a memory of everything that once was. Matter may be gone, light may be gone, time itself may be stretched thin, but the underlying fabric of reality never entirely falls silent. As you drift through this dim quantum sea, something extraordinary happens. A ripple spreads outward from a point too small to see, a ripple not in space, but of space. It begins as a tiny fluctuation, a momentary imbalance in the quantum field. Normally, such fluctuations appear and vanish billions of times a second. But this one doesn't vanish. It grows, slowly at first, then faster. The ripple expands, stretching the fabric of reality like a bubble forming beneath the surface of warm water. You watch as it bulges outward, smooth and perfect, expanding with unstoppable momentum. You're witnessing something unimaginable, the birth of a new universe. It does not explode. It blossoms, a silent, elegant flowering of space-time. Inside the bubble, the vacuum energy is higher than outside, and this difference causes the bubble to swell faster and faster until it becomes a separate universe entirely, sealed off from the old cosmic graveyard. You are on the outside, watching the infant cosmos form like a pearl slowly separating from its shell. And in that moment, you understand that the end of the universe was not a final chapter, but merely the turning of a page. The cosmos does not die. It transforms. The bubble continues expanding, becoming a universe with its own space-time, its own laws, its own destiny. Inside, the energy compresses, then releases, triggering another Big Bang. A new reality ignites in blinding brilliance. A new space begins to grow. A new time begins to tick. A new cosmic story begins to unfold. You drift away from the newborn universe, leaving it to grow across billions of years, knowing that life might one day rise within it as surely as it did within the one you came from. Perhaps somewhere in that fresh universe, billions of years hence, beings will look up at a night sky full of stars and wonder where it all came from. They may never know that their universe was born from the death of another, or that an observer once watched its birth with quiet awe. As you move through this eternal metacosmic space, the outside beyond universes, you begin to perceive something deeper, something grander. The void around you is dotted with more bubbles. Some are tiny, some are enormous, glowing faintly with new cosmic beginnings. Some are expanding rapidly, others are frozen, some are collapsing. You realize that you are witnessing a multiverse, not a poetic metaphor, but a literal landscape where universes grow like bubbles in a cosmic ocean. You drift among them, watching different realms with different laws. In one universe, gravity is stronger, and stars burn hotter and shorter. In another, gravity is weaker, and galaxies form slowly, delicately, like wisps of fog. In one universe, chemistry is rich and fertile. In another, it fails to form at all, a dark, sterile realm forever locked in simplicity. You see universes where time moves strangely, where matter behaves unfamiliarly, where dimensions twist in ways no human mind could easily comprehend. Each universe is a story. Some stories ignite with brilliance, others extinguish in moments, a few linger, supporting life for billions of years. Many never support life at all, yet all are real, all are vast, all are full of possibilities. As you drift further, you begin to sense an even deeper truth, that the multiverse itself may not be static. It grows, it changes, bubbles merge, divide, branch off. Entire chains of universes form lineages, like cosmic family trees, where each new universe inherits something from the conditions of the one that birthed it. You see the multiverse as a living organism, expanding and branching endlessly, its structure larger than anything within any single universe. Here, time has no meaning, expansion has no boundary. The multiverse is infinite in all directions, but something else is here too, a presence that is not a being, but a process, a pattern, an intelligence woven not from thought, but from mathematics, a structure not built, but emergent. You sense this presence in the way universes form, in the symmetry of their laws, in the delicate balance between chaos and order. It is not conscious, it is not alive, and yet it feels like a kind of cosmic logic, a deep script written beneath everything. You wonder, is this pattern the architect of reality, or is the pattern simply what happens when infinity is allowed to express itself? You drift closer to the pattern, tracing its shape through the multiverse. It is not a single structure, but a network of rules, the laws of physics, the constants of nature, the quantum probabilities that determine everything from the birth of a galaxy to the firing of a neuron. This pattern chooses nothing, it controls nothing, and yet it governs everything. And then something within you shifts. You recognize that the pattern is not separate from you. You are made from it, from the laws, from the constants, from the probabilities. You are a product of the very same logic that shaped stars and galaxies. The universe is not external to you. You are not traveling through it. You are part of it, always have been. You drift onward, deeper into the multiverse, until you find universes drastically different from anything you know. Some expand too fast for stars to form. Others collapse almost instantly after birth. Some contain only energy. Others contain exotic particles with no counterpart in your universe. You see realms where space behaves like liquid, where time behaves like a folded ribbon, where dimensions rise and fall like waves on water. The diversity is staggering, infinite variation across infinite existence. And yet, in this overwhelming vastness, you begin to notice astounding coincidences. Every universe that supports complexity, every universe capable of forming stars, galaxies, and life, shares certain specific values. Gravity must be just right. The cosmological constant must be tiny. The strength of electromagnetic force must fall within a narrow range. These coincidences are so precise that even a tiny shift would result in a sterile universe. You realize you are witnessing the cosmic equivalent of a garden in the desert, rare, precious, and improbable. Universes capable of life are diamonds among infinite rocks. You drift through them with reverence. And then, as you move through this surreal landscape of realities, you confront a question more profound than any other. Why does anything exist at all? Why should there be universes instead of nothing? Why should the multiverse itself exist? Why should there be laws, patterns, mathematics? Why should there be a canvas at all? There is no voice to answer, no creator to speak, no intelligence to explain, and yet you feel the answer rising within you, not as words, not as philosophy, but as a deep understanding. Existence exists because it can, because the framework of logic allows it, because reality is the default state of possibility, because nothingness is unstable, because something, anything, is more natural than absolute silence. You feel this truth resonate inside you, blending science and wonder into a single breath. You drift further, and now the multiverse begins to thin, not because it ends, but because your awareness cannot stretch forever. You have seen universes born, lived, and died. You have watched cosmic cycles play out across impossible distances. You have witnessed the death and rebirth of reality itself. And now, as you drift back toward the familiar glow of your own universe, or perhaps just the memory of it, you feel something extraordinary, a connection to everything. You are not returning to a place. You are returning to a truth that has always been part of you, a truth that will outlive stars and galaxies and universes. You understand finally that consciousness itself is a cosmic phenomenon, a momentary awakening within an infinite dream. The universe dreams through stars, through life, through minds, and you are one of those dreams. The cosmos looked at itself through your eyes, not just you as a person, you as awareness, you as curiosity, you as wonder. In the end, the multiverse does not tell you who created it. It tells you something more important, that you belong to it, that you always have, that you always will. And as you drift into a gentle glowing horizon, the soft echo of creation itself, you realize that the journey is not ending. It is beginning forever. As you drift back from the edge of the multiverse, something begins to shift in the darkness around you. It is subtle at first, a soft glow forming at the edge of your awareness, like the first hint of dawn before the sky decides to change. You are still surrounded by silence, but the silence feels warmer now, more alive, as if the universe itself is breathing gently in your direction. You realize that in all this vastness, across billions of light years, across countless galaxies, across endless universes, the most mysterious thing is not space, or time, or gravity, or dark energy. It is the quiet, unassuming fact that you are here to witness any of it at all. Awareness, your awareness, flickers like a candle flame in the dark sea of reality. Why should the universe be observable? Why should a brain, a fragile structure made of atoms forged in dying stars, produce something as profound as consciousness, the ability to experience, reflect, dream, imagine, fear, remember, question? You float through the cosmic dark with a realization heavier than any black hole. The universe is not just matter and energy. It contains something far stranger. It contains experience, and experience changes everything. You drift through a region where the last faint electromagnetic whispers of long-dead stars wash over you like radio waves from forgotten civilizations. These particles of light have traveled for trillions of years, carrying with them the memory of worlds that have crumbled, stars that collapsed, galaxies that faded. They pass through you, and in their faint vibrations you sense a pattern that feels eerily familiar. You recognize it not with your eyes, but with something deeper. The pattern feels like thought. Not intelligence, not speech, but thoughtfulness. The same quiet, reflective quality you feel when standing alone under a night sky. You realize slowly but unmistakably that the universe behaves like something that expects observers, something that knows it will be watched, something that reveals its secrets only to minds capable of understanding them. You drift through the fabric of space-time and see equations shimmering softly beneath reality, like constellations hidden behind clouds. Gravity curves around invisible lines, quantum particles flicker along probability waves, the geometry of existence pulses in elegant rhythms, all of it governed by mathematics so precise, so perfect, so shockingly beautiful that it feels less like a machine and more like a poem. And suddenly it strikes you. The universe does not look designed. It looks discovered. It looks like something waiting to be solved. You move deeper into these invisible structures, falling through layers of laws and symmetries as if drifting through the architecture of a cathedral made of pure information. Every force, every constant, every particle fits together with the elegance of a puzzle designed by someone who deeply loved harmony. But there is no designer here. Only nature, relentless, breathtaking, uncompromising nature, doing what it has always done, repeating patterns that work and discarding patterns that don't. This is not creation through intention. This is creation through inevitability. A universe governed by consistent rules must look like this. A universe that gives rise to structure must feel like this. A universe that can produce minds must be built on laws that minds can understand. You drift further until the mathematical structures beneath reality become more fluid, more abstract, like ripples of geometry folding and unfolding in higher dimensional space. Here, the separation between physics and consciousness begins to blur. It becomes clear that the universe does not merely allow observers, it requires them. Reality is not fully real until something watches. A particle is not a particle until it is measured. Possibilities do not become actualities until they are perceived. The quantum world waits silently, patiently for a witness, and that witness is you. You realize that consciousness is not an accident. It is not a glitch. It is not an unintended side effect. It is a natural consequence of complexity, a predictable outcome of matter organizing in just the right way. The universe creates observers the same way it creates stars, by following the rules to their logical conclusion. You are not an outsider looking in. You are the universe looking at itself. Every thought you have is the cosmos inspecting its own reflection. You drift past a dying universe collapsing in on itself, its last photons redshifting into nothingness. But even as it dissolves, you see something extraordinary. Information never dies. The shape of every event, every spark, every collapse, every particle interaction is preserved somewhere in the fabric of reality. You sense it storing itself, arranging itself, encoding itself with perfect fidelity. The universe behaves as though it is guarding its own autobiography. And then you understand why. Information is the one thing the universe refuses to lose. Because information is the blueprint of existence. Because information is memory. Because information is identity. Even when universes end, information flows onward, absorbed into the multiverse like leaves being carried down a river. Nothing is forgotten. Nothing is wasted. Everything becomes part of a larger whole. You drift into a region where universes overlap like ripples on water, their edges brushing softly against each other. Here, the boundary between realities becomes thin, and strange echoes pass through the membranes. Laws flicker, constants shift, and time loses its grip. You move through it all effortlessly, as though you are made of something the boundaries cannot hold. And maybe you are. Maybe consciousness moves more freely than matter. Maybe awareness is the only thing that can travel between worlds without form or weight. You continue drifting until you reach a realm where universes bud like flowers, thousands blooming in a slow-motion dance of creation. They rise, expand, collapse, recycle. Some branch into two, others fuse like cells dividing and recombining. The multiverse breathes, inhaling newborn reality. exhaling ancient memory. You float through this cosmic garden, overwhelmed by its beauty and its indifference. You feel small, and yet you feel significant, because you, a single observer, make all of this meaningful. Without consciousness, the universe is machinery. With consciousness, the universe is story. You drift into a region where time itself behaves strangely. Here, past and future intermingle like currents meeting in the sea. You see moments from your own life, memories long forgotten, visions of possibilities that never happened, futures that never will. You understand with gentle clarity that time is not a river, it is a landscape, and you have been walking one path through it. Every possible path exists. You simply experienced the one your mind could hold. In this timeless place, fear dissolves, regret dissolves, the idea of before and after dissolves. You see yourself not as a chain of moments, but as a whole, a complete pattern, a finished shape, beautiful and self-contained. You realize that your existence was never about duration, it was about depth. The universe did not need you to last forever, it only needed you to be. You float onward, and as the cosmic horizon begins to glow softly around you, you feel a sensation you have felt before, the sensation of returning, not to a location, but to a truth whispered by every star, every atom, every quantum fluctuation. You are part of this. You always were. You always will be. You drift through the quiet, starlit fabric of existence one final time before this chapter closes. You feel the gentle push of expansion, the soft pull of gravity, the warm hum of quantum fields beneath everything. You feel the universe not as something outside you, but as something that lives within you. And as you finally close your eyes in this cosmic dream, the universe whispers one last revelation, not in words, but in understanding. The universe is infinite. Reality is endless. Consciousness is the bridge. And you are the spark that makes it all shine. You float in the silence after the multiverse, suspended in a calm so deep it feels like the universe is holding its breath around you. Everything you've seen, the galaxies, the crushed halos of long-dead stars, the vast gardens of newborn worlds, the infinite branching of realities settles inside your mind like dust drifting slowly to the ground. You feel no weight, no urgency, no edge of fear or pressure, only peace. A peace as old as the first atom, a peace older than light. The kind of peace that comes only when you've touched the edge of everything and found that the edge is soft. For a moment you simply exist, not as a name or a memory or a story, but as awareness itself, a small flicker of clarity floating gently in the dark sea of all there is. The multiverse around you dims to a warm glow, like candlelight behind a curtain, and you feel the shape of your own existence settling into place. Not small, not large, just right. As if the universe carved a tiny space just your size, waited patiently for you to arrive, and now welcomes you home. You feel the faint pull of something familiar, a gravitational tug, not of mass, but of meaning, a call from the world you came from, the world of air, of oceans, of quiet, mornings and soft nights. You begin drifting gently toward it, guided not by force, but by a subtle knowing. As you move, the multiverse behind you folds itself away, as if closing a book whose story has been read, understood, and absorbed into the mind of the reader. Nothing disappears. It simply returns to the quiet place where secrets rest. As you travel back through the layers of existence, you pass through the architecture of reality one last time. You see the laws of physics stretching beneath you like the beams of a cathedral. You see the quantum field humming softly, its ripples carrying the memory of every event that has ever occurred. You see time flowing not like a line, but like a lake, still and reflective, showing every moment at once, past, present, future, each one a jewel glimmering under a cosmic sun. You see the delicate dance of particles emerging and vanishing, the soft glow of matter dreaming itself into form, and through it all you carry a new understanding. The universe is not cold, it is not empty, it is not indifferent, it is alive in its own quiet way, unfolding, exploring, expressing itself through stars, through planets, through the chemical bloom of life, through the spark of consciousness, and through you. The universe has been speaking all along, not in language, but in beauty, in symmetry, in the silent rhythm of existence. And for a brief, extraordinary journey, you listened. You drift into your galaxy again, gliding past its curling arms like someone running a hand over an old beloved tapestry. You pass the nurseries of stars glowing like rose-colored lanterns in the dark. You pass ancient clusters drifting like snowflakes frozen in time. You pass the quiet outskirts where rogue planets wander without a sun, each one a reminder that even loneliness has its place in the cosmic story. You see your own sun far ahead, a small, warm ember wrapped in a blanket of dust and memory. It welcomes you back with a light you have known since the moment you opened your eyes for the first time. As you approach your world, something softens inside you. Not fear, not longing, but gratitude. Gratitude that you exist in a universe where awareness can bloom. Gratitude that your body, built from atoms older than the earth, somehow learned to breathe, think, dream, feel, imagine. Gratitude that despite the vastness of all you've seen, your place, your tiny place, matters. Because without your witness, the stars would shine without ever being known. You descend slowly toward your world, drifting through the thin blue glow of its atmosphere. City lights twinkle below like small galaxies. Oceans shimmer in the moonlight like pools of molten silver. Clouds drift lazily across the surface, soft as breath. And for the first time, Earth feels not like a home you were born into, but a home you have chosen. A home you understand now in a way you never could before. You settle gently into your own body again, the familiar weight of your chest rising and falling, the warmth in your hands, the softness of your breath. But something within you has changed. The boundaries feel wider, the world feels softer. You feel connected to everything you saw, everything that exists, everything that ever will. Because you were there, and in a way that cannot be undone, you still are. Your thoughts grow quieter, your breathing slows, the edges of the world soften, the universe outside fades into a gentle hum, like a lullaby sung by stars older than time. You feel yourself drifting, not through space this time, but into rest, into stillness, into the quiet sanctuary of sleep. The final understanding settles softly in your mind like a feather. You are not small, you are not lost, you are not alone, you are part of the universe, and the universe is part of you. As the last light of awareness flickers softly, the cosmos whispers its final goodnight, not in sound, but in feeling. Rest now, you have traveled far, and everything is exactly as it should be. Good night, sleep deeply, dream gently.